It's over to Catherine Gaffney. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Greg. A requirement for children to wear masks in primary schools will be considered by NPHET when it meets this morning. The use of masks among people attending large or crowded events will also be looked at. However, it will be next week before health officials consider if further restrictions are needed. Donegal County Council will spend over €162 million next year, almost 5% more than the figure for 2021. Councillors will meet online today for the authority's annual budget meeting after plans to hold the meeting in the Ora Leisure Centre were dropped last week. Donald Kavanagh has more.
Chief Executive John McLaughlin says the budget will focus on a number of key themes. They include the maintenance and improvement of houses, roads and other key infrastructure, support for economic development and job creation, and strengthening the Donegal brand as a location for investment and tourism. He said the council is also preparing a pipeline of plans for housing, roads, public realm improvements, recreation and leisure, and job creation infrastructure that will be supported in the budget. Finance Officer Richard Gibson says the budget has increased from just over $155,285 million in 2021 to an estimated $162,303 million in the draft budget for 2022. The draft budget includes a new €350,000 fund to initiate a pilot project for infrastructure in council housing estates, as well as capacity to ensure that co-funding requirements are available for all projects currently underway. The council also says it will maintain levels of funding across its services in 2022.
Emergency services are currently at the scene of a crash in the outskirts of Letterkenny. The collision happened shortly after 8 a.m. in the Drumkeen area. Traffic is currently moving freely and there are no further details at this stage. And holiday homeowners affected by Mica are being urged to come forward with their stories. Campaigners are hopeful the proposals for the long-awaited Mica redress scheme will finally be ready by next Tuesday following several delays. The proposals are due to be brought before Cabinet on the 30th of November following weeks of negotiations. However, it is unclear whether holiday home owners will be included in the enhanced scheme. Mica Action Group PRO Michael Doherty says it's vital people with secondary homes in Donegal or elsewhere affected by Mica have their voices heard.
Imagine a Donegal dotted with derelict holiday homes. Imagine being a neighbour, a principal private resident, and your neighbour in a semi-detached house or in the same estate where there are a number of holiday homes and looking out at dereliction there. And that's what we're facing in years to come if that's not tackled now. Tell your very real down-to-earth stories and let's see what we can do again to help yourselves and help us help you, that there's no excluded homes by the time this is all said and done.
Weather now. Today there will be sunny spells and well-scattered showers. Cloud will increase later in the day, bringing more frequent showers by evening. It will be another cold day with highest afternoon temperatures of 5 to 7 degrees. We're back with more at 10. Until then, good morning.
This Christmas,
Can I tell you a secret? I'm working with an Avenger.
the best gift comes with a bow.
You're a Hawkeye.
Who the hell are you?
Some people have actually called me the world's greatest archer.
It's kind of a stretch.
In a brand new 6-part original series.
Should we be worried?
No, I'll be home for Christmas. I promise.
Christmas never felt so good.
It's gonna be the best Christmas ever.
Marvel Studios' Hawkeye. First 2 episodes streaming soon, only on Disney+. 18+ subscription required. T's and C's apply.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Are your tyres ready for winter? Call into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Good morning, 9:05, Thursday the 25th of November, and you're welcome along to another edition of the 9 till noon show. Busy 3 hours for you, but we want to hear what you have to say, the issues you want to raise, the topics you want to talk about. How do you do that? Well, you WhatsApp us on 086 60 25,000. That's the text number as well, 086 60 25,000. If you're outside the Republic, 00353 8660 25,000. Your telephone calls into us now, please, to Michaela on 07491 25,000. And if you want to watch this programme and contribute there, head on to our YouTube page, Highland Radio Ireland, or our Facebook page, /Highland Hub or Highland Radio News and Sport. You can watch the programme in its entirety and interact with us there as well. And finally, comments at highlandradio.com. Right, let's look at the papers. Thursday, lots out. We'll start with the Derry People Donegal News this morning. And a West Donegal community is mourning following the tragic death of a local man in Manchester. George Tracy, who was 57, died after a work-related incident on Tuesday night. He leaves his partner Sheila Duffy and their 6 children, Michael, Sinead, Laura, Katie, Georgie and Ellie. A native of Mahary, George was living in Ardveen, Crawley with Sheila and his family. He had been working as a lorry driver for Mott and Boyle Haulage, Upper Dur, Guido for 4 years, and it's clear from people's reaction to that awful news that he was an incredibly popular man and will be greatly missed. A terribly sad story altogether there. The Donegal Democrats leads with a health story. More than 22,000 patients are on waiting lists at Letterkenny University Hospital. Figures presented to the Health Service Executives Regional Health Forum West this week show waiting lists at record levels. The figures were released following separate questions from Donegal members of the forum, Councillor Kieran Brogan and Councillor Jerry Crawford. And the figures are there listed on the front of that paper. It makes for grim enough reading, it has to be said. The Finn Valley Voice this morning. Notwithstanding challenging times, Donegal County Council's draft budget for 2022 has been drawn up to ensure sufficient funds to deliver required services for County Donegal. The draft budget proposes expenditure of 162 million plus, a 7 million increase on last year. The budget meeting will be held at 10 a.m. Today. The 25th of November. The pandemic has put huge pressure on all of society and has created many challenges for us as a county and indeed across the world. Some of the remarks there from Chief Executive John G. McLaughlin. We'll have full coverage of that meeting for you, of course, throughout the day on our news bulletins. Donald Kavanagh monitoring that for you, as he has many budgets over the course of the years, and we'll preview it a little bit as well later on this morning. The Derry News today: vandals target Derry's Christmas illuminations. People literally must have absolutely nothing to contribute or to actually do, because extra police patrols have been introduced in Derry city centre in an attempt to prevent vandals targeting the town's Christmas illuminations. It follows the vandalism and tampering of Christmas trees, including Ireland's tallest, standing at 60 feet in Guildhall Square. Thousands attended the switch on of the illuminations on Sunday night last. The move by police follows multiple reports of damage to baubles and people climbing and crawling inside the trees. Derry and Strabane District Council is urging the public to be respectful of the Christmas displays in the city. We just can't have nice things, can we? As soon as we do, people have to interfere. It seems... And you know, this decision might actually mask other failings, and it is a pun, but it's not intended to be funny, because NPHET are sure to, because I see that change in their language, they're sure to recommend the wearing of masks for children in primary schools. Now, obviously, this is in the absence of contact tracing and other supports and what have you. What do you think about this, the proposals that your young people in national school may have to wear masks? Now, there might be more or an equal amount of you out there who believe it is a good thing. We want to hear from everyone. Obviously, people who are opposed to it, very vocal, will be very vocal in that. But let's hear from all of you. What do you think? Because, as I say, I'd be pretty astonished. I noticed NPHET changed their language very recently to say... Well, you know how NPHET were constantly saying it's not really spreading in schools. Let's see what they actually did say here, if I can find it, because they have changed the language somewhat. They said that we never said schools a safe environment. We said they are lower risk. Now, is that your interpretation of what Deputy CMO McGlynn and Tony Hoolan have been saying, that we never said schools are a safe environment? That's a direct quote. We said they are lower risk. Technically, that could be correct. But you know yourself, you know how the language was relayed to us. Is it really? Some members of NPHET believe such a move, masking children in national school, would help stem the rise in infections in younger children, though the government does not intend to introduce any new restrictions this week. If a recommendation is made by NPHET, it is likely to be considered by government next week. Latest figures show that primary school-aged children now have the highest COVID-19 incidence of any age group, with some 10,000 positive cases in the past fortnight. Now, that is regrettable, but the bottom line is it might not be the worst thing either. It should never have been allowed run through the schools, I think most people might feel. But when you see the cases being announced every evening, if a lot of those are young people, we don't want anyone getting it, right? And they are not, completely bulletproof, though serious illness is incredibly, incredibly rare. It does mean that it might not have as big of an impact on the hospitals down the line. And it is good to see that the number in hospital has fallen again, down 120 over the course of 4 or 5 days. And the figure at Letterkenny University Hospital is reduced as well. I think it might be down to 13 overnight, which is welcome to see figures going in that direction. At the same time, 575 in hospital now, 13, as I mentioned, in Letterkenny, 9 in Sligo, and the ICU numbers are steady. So if a lot of these cases that are being counted at the moment are in young people, hopefully then maybe it won't lead to hospitalisations. But a report from the Health Protection Surveillance Centre also notes that the infection rate for primary school-aged children has been rising since mid-October, but the risk of transmission within a school still remains low. While public health advisors have suggested to government that much of the infection among children is coming from parents rather than in schools. Come on now. Right, Irish Independent. What age were you when you were able to build your house, if you were lucky enough to be able to do so? Were you able to do it in your early 20s, maybe even mid-20s, late 20s? Well, now just a quarter of first-time buyers, and this is not builders, but buyers, are aged under 30. People are having to wait much later in life to get on the property ladder. The vast majority of first-time buyers are now over the age of 30, in a major reversal of previous trends in the Irish Independent. The sheer cost of homes and the difficulties for younger workers with lower earnings in qualifying for mortgages means new buyers are getting older. This is a reversal from the situation that prevailed for years, new figures from the Banking and Payments Federation Ireland show. Now, is that absolutely the case? Is it possible? And I wonder, did they look into it? Could there be a trend to younger people maybe not wanting to overcommit to a particular area or to a particular country? Could it be that whilst it is incredibly expensive, incredibly difficult to get on the property ladder under 30, I wonder, does this study take into a fact that maybe is there a change in attitude? Maybe the obsession with home ownership is waning a little bit. In 2004, fewer than a third of first-time buyers were over the age of 30, but by the first half of this year, 3/4 of new buyers were over 30. So as you can see, the shift there. The Tyrconnell Tribune today, as the County Council meets to consider the revenue budget for 2022, commercial rates and local property tax will make up close to 40% of the funding needed to keep essential services running. John McAteer writes that despite councillors and management meeting on Monday to appraise the potential for consensus, it remains to be seen if all members will vote in favour of the budget. Well, all won't vote in favour, because I think there are those that will abstain in any case, aren't there? The budget meeting due to take place at the Ora Leisure Centre has moved online due to COVID, said the council on Tuesday. The revenue budget of $162.3 million is 4.5% higher than the current year, which stands at $155.285 million. Now, the Farmers Journal tells us that the 20% clawback on the sale of cap entitlements without land could be set aside under new proposals from the Department of Agriculture. The new measures could affect close to 30,000 farmers. The proposals aim to encourage a shift in entitlements through sale of increased long-term leasing from armchair farmers to active farmers. And there's more details, as you can imagine, and it's always wedged, that paper. It's not a big wonder it is one of those papers that is growing, because there's so much in it in every week. If you're interested in farming, I mean, it must just be like God knows what. The Irish Daily Mail today. In England, they're seeing quite a reduction in cases and deaths because they've rolled out the booster vaccine to those who want it. It's a booster at the Fianna Fáil Parliamentary Party meeting. That's what it's called over there. At the Fine Gael Parliamentary Party meeting, it's called a third dose, because Leo Varadkar believes this is a 3-dose vaccine. So you've got one party of government calling it a booster, the other calling it a third dose, but no booster for those aged over 50 before Christmas, for those who would take it or want it. And while there are hopes at government level that a lockdown could still be avoided, Tánaiste Leo Varadkar said last night, the current COVID-19 wave appears to be plateauing at a worryingly high level. The situation comes as the National Health Service is grappling on multiple fronts due to the surge in COVID-19, which I would say is probably more to do with the problems in the hospital service pre-COVID-19. The PCR testing, no PCR testing was available in 23 counties last night, but we have over 700 spaces in Donegal. Now, of course, for much of the county, there is testing in South Donegal and Donegal Town, but for people all over Inishowen, West Donegal, Northwest Donegal, you have to go to Letterkenny, and it's one of those places that has a ton of capacity. Now, we heard from the person who runs it, who suggested that, people might book in the morning and, it kind of fills up by evening time, and they're saying that they're doing as much testing as they have ever done. But are we seeing genuinely less of it here, or is it too much of a hassle to go and get tested? Because even if you're test negative and you've still got symptoms, they do say to you, don't self-isolate until you're 48 hours post-symptoms. I wonder what the story is in Donegal. Hopefully we had the fourth wave early, because it's good to see the 14 and 7-day rate falling again in Donegal after a slight peak over the weekend. The Star today, TUV leader Jim Allister has said he's very sorry that a statement of condolence he made following the death of David Tweed has added to the hurt felt by his victims. Allister said his motives had been misconstrued and he did not condone paedophilia in any way. Tweed, a former Irish rugby international and DUP and TUV politician, died in a crash in Antrim last month. He was convicted of child sex offences in 2012 and sentenced to 8 years in prison. He was released in 2016 after his convictions were quashed due to the way the jury had been directed. Following Tweed's death, his stepdaughter Amanda Brown said he was a paedophile and a violent thug and challenged politicians who put out complimentary statements in the wake of his death. We are all worried, aren't we, about the rising cost of running our cars, heating our homes. 9 out of 10 of us, in fact, according to a survey in the Irish Daily Mirror, no surprise here, 9 out of 10 of us are worried about the cost of heating and electricity this winter. 80% are concerned about petrol and diesel prices. 79 find themselves scrimping to find enough money to buy groceries. Sinn Féin's social protection spokesperson analysed the research from 14,000 respondents to her survey and found the jump in prices hitting hard. Claire Curraine found that people are at the end of their tether, which is a phrase I imagine will go out of favour in the next year or so, or, in the next couple of years. It's a bit outdated. With 6,000 feeling so angry that they added comments at the end of their questionnaire. And very finally, what one's this? I don't know. It's the same paper. No, that's me done, is it? It is. All right, that's the newspapers. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and texts. So give us a call on 074 91 25,000.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny. Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Are your tyres ready for winter? Call into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
Visit Century Complex. Treat yourself to a tasty meal at Backstage Bar and Grill, an exciting movie at Century Cinemas, or let the little ones explore Century Play. Call us on 074 9121976 or check out our website centurycinemas.ie for more information on Century Complex.
Transformed into gallery quality art.
At McGee's Chemist Photo Lab this Christmas, send a gift of art on canvas. Have your choice of photo blown up to a gallery-size canvas print from as little as $44.95. You can upload online or drop into our Main Street store.
Treat your loved ones this Christmas.
McGee's Photo Lab, canvas prints. Check us out on Facebook and online at mcgees.ie. Parking in the multi-storey car park behind Dillon's Hotel.
Make your next menswear choice at Watson Menswear Letterkenny. From suits to casual wear, there's big names like Rimassimo, Superdry, Penguin and Tommy Bow. If you're getting married, call in for an appointment and get fitted in style. That's Watson Menswear, open 7 days a week on Main Street in Letterkenny, or online at watsonmenswear.com, or follow on social media for more details on offers and new arrivals. Christmas Club now open.
Opportunity. You never know when it might appear. It could be hidden, could be staring you in the face, but it can change your life. And one thing's for sure, without opportunity, we don't have the chance to change. That's why the Department of Social Protection has launched the Work Placement Experience Programme to provide the opportunity for businesses and job seekers to work together, to give businesses the opportunity to help and job seekers the opportunity to grow. And all you need to do is be open to opportunity. The Work Placement Experience Programme. visit gov.ie/WPEP. Brought to you by Intro and the Government of Ireland.
Hi, Mary Ford here. If you're thinking of upgrading your car, borrow from Letterkenny Credit Union. Our loans have a competitive rate of interest, free life insurance, no hidden extras or deposit, and a speedy decision. Remember, you own the car. There is no mileage constraints with a loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Online application, collection, and transfer to your current account now available. Apply via our app or in our office today. Loans are subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. Letterkenny Credit Union is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Patterson's Black Friday sale is now on with fantastic discounts across all departments. Appliances, beds, mattresses, dining table and chairs, suites, furniture and giftware. Come visit their massive sleep centre on the first floor. Christmas decorations and gifts now on display. Patterson's Black Friday sale is now on at the Hall Ifford.
At Letterkenny Shopping Centre, we're already dreaming about the festive season, so why not make a start? Park for free and enjoy your Christmas shopping this year. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
The time is 21 minutes past 9 and you are welcome back to the programme. Right, Junior Transport Minister Hildegard Naughton has been told that more details will emerge about the deaths of two men in waters close to Port Ronan, Malin Head in July 2018. The comment was made by Deputy Pádraig McLaughlin during a debate on the Marine Casualties Amendment Bill. Deputy McLaughlin will be joining us shortly, but I want to say good morning first to Michael Kingston, international maritime lawyer from County Cork. Michael, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Greg. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, perfectly, thank you. Right,
Excellent.
Can you tell us what happened on this day and why we're talking about it? In other words, what concerns have been raised?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, the concerns that apply to the sad tragedy that took place off Port Ronan on the 17th of July 2018 aren't exclusive to Port Ronan and that tragedy. The issues are part of an overall failure of the investigation of intermaritime tragedy in Ireland. And I'll get to that in a minute, Greg, but specifically in relation to Port Ronan, as people will be aware, in Donegal, 3 people went out for an innocent fishing trip on the 17th of July 2018. And unfortunately, only one of them returned. To a boy of 16, Thomas Weir and Mr. Gerard Doherty died, unfortunately, and Desi Keenan survived. And there were very serious failures on the day in relation to the in relation to the rescue. And then following the tragedy, there was a Marine Casualty Investigation Board report that was issued. And unfortunately, Marine Casualty Investigation Board reports should not attribute any fault or blame. But the national media picked up on the issue, and the headlines were in the Irish Times: men who drowned could not effectively indicate distress, investigation finds. Well, that's not actually correct, because a mobile phone distress was picked up and wasn't acted upon, so it's factually incorrect. And the other headline in RTE was crew in boat tragedy did not plan sufficiently. And I would like to put it on record that Mr. Gerard Doherty and Mr. Desi Keenan were safety conscious on the 17th of July 2018. They took more precautions than hundreds of other pleasure craft users that I witnessed off the coast of County Cork. And I'm sure the situation is similar in Donegal and across Ireland. They had an anchor, spare fuel. They had a spare emergency outboard. They had 2 batteries and jump leads. And they weren't aware of what is known as the voluntary code of practice that many previous Marine Casualty Investigation Board reports have identified as a problem in the pleasure craft industry, and they continuously issue what are called marine notices, which are useless because they do not reach pleasure craft users, and several investigators have recommended they should be mandatory, and they never acted upon those.
So how would that work? Sorry, just explain that to us, Michael. If that were enacted, what would happen?
Well, it would mean, Greg, that if you wanted to go out, or anyone listening to this program, in a boat, which many of us do, I could buy a boat from you today and just go down to Letterkenny and take the boat out, and I should have be in compliance with a voluntary code of practice. But that only works if I know about the code of practice, and most people don't know about the code of practice. And the report criticised the boat operators for not having a VHF and not having X, Y, and Z from the code of practice. Had it been mandatory, and had they known about it, they would have had these other requirements on board. But they were failed by the state because the department did not act on previous recommendations that code of practice should be mandatory. And
but
in
it
any
seems
event,
findings were made, and there was a commentary as if that had been enacted on. Then is that also a problem here?
Well, no, there's a commentary that they did not, that it had been enacted upon, but that it was sort of taken as read that they should know about it, when it is well known that pleasure craft users do not know about this code of practice, which is the very reason why it should be mandatory basic training. But of course, there's a larger problem here, which is where Padraig McLaughlin comes in and the deliberations in the Oireachtas, in that our Marine Casualty Investigation Board has been contrary to international regulation, and we had two department civil servants on the board who were effectively investigating their own regulation and not analysing it properly from the Department of Transport. And there's a judgment against Ireland for the European Court of Justice, which has found that Ireland has been illegally that the board was illegally constituted, and that we haven't been investigating maritime tragedies correctly, and in some cases not at all in the fishing community.
Can I take you back to the two headlines that you referenced there? Because obviously, firstly, all reports should be true, but primarily I presume this added great pain and hurt to families already going through an incredible difficult time. Is that a failure of reporting, or were they reporting accurately the findings of the inquest?
Well, no, it's not an inquest. The inquest hasn't taken place yet. It's the arm of the state that looks into maritime tragedy, and its purpose is to find out what happens so that it doesn't happen again, and not to attribute any fault or blame. But yes, it is a problem, because what we have here is a system in Ireland where we have a investigative system with no proper funding, part-time investigators, and through no fault of their own, they can't do a proper job. Unlike aviation and rail, the aviation unit has funding in 2019 of 750,000 with full-time investigators. Rail has 350,000, and marine investigators in the field, 2,700, 6 deaths. 27,000 euros, 6 deaths, 2,700 per death. You cannot carry out a proper investigation with such a paltry amount of money.
Is there any explanation as to that? Because, thankfully, maybe a light aircraft going down is very, very rare, but we'd all know how it's reported instantly. People are on the scene. You might even have people from the aircraft investigating team doing interviews, preliminary interviews with the media. The aircraft is then taken away, major investigation. And do we know why that there's such a difference between how we would investigate a light aircraft going down versus a boat? Or is it because if you scale up the cost because we see more of this at sea? Is it a financial issue, really, is what I'm trying to get at? Or why would we treat things so differently there?
Well, I mean, I'm sure that Padraig McLaughlin will comment on this in a minute, given the good work that he's doing with the maritime community. But there's a simple answer to that. If there's an aviation incident, it is sensationalized in the media, whereas the poor fisherman who drowns, or the incident in Port Ronan is sort of a quick word on the back end of a news channel, and the unfortunately our state where maritime issues are concerned, it's out of sight, out of mind, when it should be at the forefront of everything that we do, given the importance of maritime issues to Ireland. And it's a fundamental failing of the Irish state. The funding just simply has not been provided for the maritime community. We've failed to implement so much international regulation. We breach this regulation into investigations. We don't have a proper investigative system. And if we don't fix and analyse tragedies properly, we can't save life going forward. So it is a fundamental failing of the Irish state, and which is why the TDs and I am working closely with them, are working so hard to make sure that we get this bill right that's currently going through the Oireachtas.
All right, Deputy Potter McLaughlin, as you mentioned, you have picked up this issue, working on this issue. Tell me, adding on to what we've just heard from Michael, what problems you see and where we need to be going.
Well, you've asked some pertinent questions, Greg, and I think that, and I said this yesterday in the Dáil, I think the lack of resourcing for the Marine Casualty Investigation Board and the way that it's been constituted with department officials essentially investigating themselves reflects the wider malaise when it comes to our coastal communities. And think about this, Greg, we are the only island nation in the European Union, the only island nation. We're surrounded by water. And if you speak to any fisherman across our coast and ask them, do they feel supported, nurtured by the Department of the Marine, they'll tell you the total opposite. And I think that what's happened here in terms of the investigations reflects the wider culture and attitude towards our fishing communities and our marine communities. I mean, if you look at the resourcing provided to aviation investigations, to rail investigations compared to this, and if it wasn't for the work of Michael Kingston and some others, this would continue on. It takes people who are experts, who know the failings, to expose it. Now, in terms of this family, Greg, like they were devastated by the headlines nationally. They've seen it as victim blaming.
Sorry, just so we're clear on that, where did that information? Because maybe the question I asked was a little bit clumsy. Where would they have sourced that information? If we haven't had an inquest yet, where would they be able to determine about preparedness or, because I can't imagine that any of those journalists that were from those two outlets that were mentioned went out of their way to sort of misrepresent the situation. So who gave them likely that information?
I can answer that, Greg.
Yes.
It's the Marine Casualty Investigation Board report was issued in I think it was November 2020.
Well, that's even worse.
Yes, so the whole emphasis of the findings did not reflect some of the failings of the state that I have explained to you, and the failure it doesn't analyse the previous recommendations. And so the weight of the reading of the report puts too much of an emphasis on what the what the crew did in relation to a code of practice that they didn't know about, and in any event was irrelevant because they made a mobile phone call and it wasn't acted upon. So the state failings are not at the top of the report, and the media picked up on the faults of the crew, Gerard Doherty and Desi Keenan, which were not the causative causes of the event on the day.
Michael, thanks for that clarification, because I think that's really very important. Carry on there, Deputy McLaughlin.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. I mean, if you look at Jerry Doherty, I mean, it's a particular tragedy here because Jerry's father, Paddy, had drowned many years earlier when Jerry himself was just a teenager. And as Michael has said, Thomas Weir, who died in this tragedy, was a teenager. Just the trauma for this family is intergenerational trauma. And it's important to say this, that this this family and the extended family of the two victims have serious questions that remain unanswered, and they're looking for the Marine Casualty Investigation Board to cooperate fully with the inquest that's taking place at the moment. That needs to happen, and they have every right to challenge the board on their findings at that inquest. That needs to happen. But I want to say this, Greg, is that this tragedy isn't the only I mean, there are other drownings and other incidents where boats went down around the coast of Donegal, where families have very serious questions about how that happened. And the failings of investigations are ongoing for many years. So, as Michael says, if we do not learn from tragedies and then have recommendations that are fully implemented, then people die unnecessarily. So that's a very important point. But in this case, the families, I feel, are deeply hurt at the presentation of what happened, and they see it as victim blaming, whereas Michael, who's an expert in this area, has outlined very clearly they were not at fault for what happened to them.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine what they must be going through. So there's two things here. The case that we've been talking on, that needs to be looked at, but it's also about ensuring, I think, as both of you have mentioned, that we have reform going forward, full reform of the board, full reform of its practices, or at least partial reform. Is that what you're calling for? And is there a will to work with you in the Dáil on that, Deputy McLaughlin?
Yeah, I think thanks to Michael's work, like Michael presented, at a committee earlier this year, and on a cross-party basis, people were really, taken with his testimony, with his expert input, and the need for change. So there definitely is a desire on a cross-party basis. The challenge now will be for the government, as is often the case, Greg, to stand up to vested interests, to stand up to department officials, to make sure the necessary change happens.
When we talk of vested interests, I mean, without getting us into trouble, like who would oppose this?
Well, I can answer that for you, Greg, with some specific issues that are actually quite incredible in the workings of democracy in the Irish state. And in my opening statement to the Oireachtas on the 29th of January, I said that it was a democratic deficit and there were such issues of ethics in public office that the Oireachtas need to look into it. An independent investigative unit based on best practice was recommended in a 1998 report, policy review group report, because of the manner in which tragedies had been dealt with by the Irish state in the decades before that. And particular emphasis was placed on empathy for families and having a proper investigative unit.
That was 23 years ago.
23 years ago, when we set up the Marine Casualty Investigation Board under the Merchant Shipping Investigation of Marine Casualties Act, we went against the findings of the Policy Review Group, did not have an independent board, and put our Chief Surveyor, who sets regulation in Ireland, and the Secretary General of the Department on the board, effectively investigating their own regulation each and every time there's an incident. The regulatory surrounding of the incident is critical. Was it fit for purpose? Was it enforced properly? And what needs to happen going forward? These are issues that are now pertinent to the Keenan and Doherty investigation and the failures that I've outlined. In 2010, a ministerial order was made by Minister Noel Dempsey that an independent investigative unit should be established. So again, 12 years later, and so on the basis of a report by Barrister Roisin Lacey with draft heads of bill, it was buried by the department. The International Casualty Investigation Code came into play, and then it had to be enforced in Ireland, and we transposed via European directive. And in 2011, we signed off, the Minister for Transport signed off on the incorrect imposition of the international regulation that basically made it mandatory to have no civil servants on the board. We ignored it and continued as is, illegally, until the European Commission then brought a case against Ireland in 2015. We fought that case for 5 years, costing the Irish taxpayer millions, an indefensible position, and then had a judgment against Ireland. And the legislation now that is being put through the Dáil has been forced upon the government on the basis of reprehensible behaviour. So when you ask Padraig, what the vested interests are, the simple answer is the state officials have not been held to account for their deliberate failures to fix this, and the consequences have been unnecessary death across this state, up and down this country, because we did not fix the system. We did not learn from tragedies when it was the obvious thing to do. And now, during this legislative process, the committee has forced the department to carry out a review because they still won't create an investigative unit, which was debated in the Dáil yesterday. And on a cross-party basis, the Minister for State, Hildegard Knopton, was slated for this failed legislation. A report by Captain Clinch was carried out during this process. It came in July 2021. It is again recommending an independent investigative unit, and the department will not disclose the report because it for legal reasons, and it's being buried while they're trying to push through this failed legislation. So they are the vested interests, a failure of the Irish state that has caused death, and it's symptomatic of the systematic failures that caused the death of the crew of Rescue 116.
Okay, powerful stuff, Michael. Thank you very much for explaining that to us. I really appreciate it, and thanks for joining us this morning.
I'd just like to thank Greg Padraig McLaughlin for his enormous work. And while I have the chance, one thing I would like to also say today, very importantly, is to extend my deepest sympathies to the family and friends of Willie Glacken of Ballygorm and Mallinhead, who was laid to rest on Monday after a relative short illness. Willie's daughter, Elaine, is my next-door neighbour here in Goleen, where her mother, Mary, is from. And Mary and Willie have a house here, and he was an extremely lovely man, highly respected in Goleen, and our community send their thoughts and prayers to Mary and the Glacken family and their friends in Donegal.
All right, lovely. Okay, thank you very much indeed. Deputy McLaughlin, thank you for joining us, unless there's anything you need to add.
No, thanks. As you see, Michael covered, is a total authority on this issue. We're lucky to have him.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Deputy Padraig McLaughlin there. It's an eye-opener, isn't it? You know, it's a very useful conversation, very educational for me in any case. 086 60 25,000, your WhatsApps and text that number. Give us a call to an 07491 25,000.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Winter is coming. Get your tyres winter ready. Call in to Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
Entitlement changes for 30,000 farmers. In this week's Farmers Journal, we reveal government plan for leasing and clawback of entitlements. As the fertiliser crisis escalates, we have 5 pages of essential advice for beef, sheep, dairy and tillage farmers. In a changing jobs market, don't miss our Agri-Jobs Focus and what to look for when buying a second-hand tractor. Plus, free newspaper for young farmers only inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. On sale now.
It's been a mad year, but every year deserves a Christmas. And at Dunnes Stores, we know Santa is still on his way. So break out Mum's signature stuffing recipe. Get some turkey carving tips from Dad. And deck the whole family out in matching festive PJs. Yes, the whole family. This year needs Christmas like never before. Make it magical with Dunnes Stores. Dunnes Stores. Make Christmas for everyone. Visit dunnesstores.com.
Homeland Fuel offers, keeping you warm for less. 40 kg premium doubles or easy flame coal, $16.99. Buy 10, get 1 free. Hardwood logs, 2 bags for only €10. Flow gas, £25 gas cylinder, only €25.99. Shop in store or online at homeland.ie.
Forward Emphasis International, based in Mallinhead, are actively recruiting for customer service advisors with both permanent remote working and hybrid opportunities available. Experience in contact centres or insurance services is desirable but not essential, as full training is provided. Fully funded financial services qualifications delivering attractive career path opportunities are available. Please visit their website www.forwardemphasis.ie or apply via their careers page.
All ready for next year? Why not make sure of it with SEAT? Trade up to a 221 SEAT SUV and you'll be offered PCP finance from 1.9% and a 3-year service plan for just $9.99 a month. With the bold new Arona, the stylish new Ateca, or the outstanding 7-seater Tarraco, we're all ready. Are you? Trade up to your 221 SEAT SUV at DMG Motors, Claw Road, Donegal Town. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland, trading as SEAT Financial Services. Subject to lending criteria. Terms and conditions apply. Visit seat.ie/221 for further information.
Hi, I'm Clara, and I'm a jewellery box ballerina. Yeah, now with work, I'm constantly on my feet, literally going in circles. So being in a cold house just wound me up the wrong way. Then the home energy upgrade happened, with grants from SEAI for insulation, heat pumps, you name it, totally transformed the place. Search SEAI Home Energy Upgrade and discover a new world of comfort.
Supported by the Government of Ireland.
Oh, it's fab.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. Now, we're joined on it by Kathleen Golden, who is Assistant Principal for Census Publicity. Good morning to you, Kathleen. Thanks for taking the call.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
It's good to have you with us. Now, over 200 census enumerators are to be hired in Donegal for Census 2022. This is a delayed census, isn't it?
Yes, the census was postponed from April of last year. And it's this year, actually. It was due to take place last April, and it's going to take place on the 3rd of April, 2022.
Okay, so the application, online application system is open from today. Who can apply for these positions?
Well, anyone can apply once they're over 18 years of age and resident in Ireland. So people from all walks of life actually apply, from retirees up to students and parents, working at home. It could be somebody who has maybe not been in the workforce for a while and wants to get their confidence back again. We've actually such an example on our website of somebody from Donegal who actually was an enumerator. It is so hard to say, I agree, in 2011.
I thought I did that perfectly. You spotted that, did you?
Well, that and statistics, they're really two. Anyway, Census enumerator, Joan, she's on our census website if you want to read her case study. She actually, I think she went back into the workforce as a census enumerator in 2011 and then came back as a census field supervisor in 2016 and is now a regional supervisor in 2022. So,
in terms of, how much time is required? Do you need a vehicle?
For rural enumeration, that's even harder to say. You do need the use of a car and a full driving licence. And I'd imagine probably lots of Donegal would be fairly rural, but if you had an enumerator would have an area of 400 homes to deliver and collect census forms to and from. So if that area is in a town and you can walk, then you don't need a car. But if it's a rural area, you will need the use of a car and a full driving license as well.
Okay, and this might, I know it sounds like I'm picking, but I'm not. Someone might, a 19-year-old might have the use of their parents' cars. The parent could be driving. Do you actually have to have your own vehicle and your own license?
No, you do have to have a full license.
Okay.
But the use of a car, so it doesn't have to be your own car.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
And how much time would be required? What kind of commitment would be needed?
Well, it's a very flexible job. It's 10 weeks contract, first of all, from the end of February to early May. And it's about 22 hours per week. And it's flexible, so you can fit those hours against your own schedules. So it would suit lots of people in that case. It's short term, and within that as well, it's flexible hours. And you can earn up to €3,000 for your 10-week contract.
Right, so someone who's actually already in full-time employment, although it would be nice to see maybe those who actually need the work getting it, theoretically they can also apply.
Yes, they can. They can. If they can fit it into their schedules, they can, yes, yeah. And in Gaeltacht areas as well, we would be hoping to get Irish speakers.
What kind of... I asked about the time commitment, didn't I? Yeah, what skills are required? Do you know what I mean? Like, is there a particular educational background or anything that would give people an advantage?
No, not really. Just as I said, once you're over 18 years of age, resident in Ireland, and you can you have a good command of the English language, and obviously you need, or we would love you to have a good speaking Irish for the Gaeltacht areas. Just that you're a people person, you're quite happy to knock on people's doors, and you're the smiling face of the census, you're the public face of the census. It's a really important job for the census. We could not do it without you. That you're happy to engage with people, happy to return maybe more than once to some people's homes to meet the householder in order to deliver the form to them, and then return afterwards to collect them. So you do need an element of working on your own as well, and being having some organisational skills, to make sure that you plan your route and plan that you do get the best success rate from the area that you're, I'll say that word again, enumerating.
Okay, so there's already been quite a bit of interest. Applications are open from today. It runs till the 3rd of December, but I think you're keen to see people apply as early as is possible. It's a 10-week commitment. I think you mentioned around about 22 hours per week, and the income from that in and around €3,000. A good little feather in the cap for your CV or whatever it might be as well too, I imagine, Kathleen.
Yeah, it would. And it is a great way as well if you just want to get back into the workforce. It's great confidence boost. And just to say as well, you apply on census.ie. That's put in census.ie into the search box, and it'll bring up the website, and the apply now button is there, and it's you can proceed from there. And just to say that you will be fully trained. There's lots of training provided. You'll be provided all the equipment you need, your satchel, your high-vis vest, and you have a smartphone as well. But you'll get lots of training, and there's lots of support during the 10 weeks. You're not left on your own then. You have a field supervisor you can contact. You have fellow enumerators in your area that you can contact, if you have any queries or something you're not sure about. And you've also got the backup of the Census HQ as well, because we're always there to help as well. So I wouldn't like people to think that they get their training and then off you go,
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
And finally, it's an important job. Census are important things.
They absolutely are. I mean, we need to know about ourselves. We need the information for all the services that we all need, from a new creche in your areas, maybe to the aging population. Do we need more nursing homes? Do we need sporting facilities? It's needed. The information is really important, and it's available at community level, which is even more important. So it's so important for all of us. I mean, and we can compare the information from 2016 to the information that will come out in 2020, from the 2022 census back to 2011, and you can see trends and know, well, we definitely need this. There's lots of primary school kids who definitely need a secondary school, and it's.
And I mean, even in one example, in one area of Donegal, the future of a community hospital will be determined by the findings of the next census, for the most part. So it has a big impact in so many different ways. Okay, listen, thank you for your time this morning. People go online now, census.ie. It's actually open now, isn't it? I know it's from the 25th, but has our applications open as we speak right now?
Yeah, it opened at 9:00 this morning, and we're doing well so far. So I would advise people to apply early.
Yeah, okay. Listen, Thank you for your time. All right, take care of yourself. Thank you. Okay, that's your thing. 10 weeks from February, you'd earn about 3,200 gross, plenty of training and all that kind of stuff. You need really to be a full licence holder, have your own car, but anyone over 18 and up to any maximum. Census.ie. That's where you go for more info.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Get your tyres winter ready. Drop in to Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
Buy a ticket in Highland Radio's mega draw to win a car. Get your ticket by November 30th and automatically enter an extra draw before the big draw. Big draw. One lucky winner will walk away with €2,000. Imagine, that's Christmas all wrapped up. Christmas sorted. The draw will take place on Wednesday, December 1st on the 9 till noon show. 9 till noon. And you're still in with a chance to win the Kia X-Ceed worth over €28,000. 28 grand.
It's that simple to win that car.
To get your ticket, log on to highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, exceeding your expectations.
Ooh.
Bring it back up.
Now celebrating at Zalando, the perfect look for your every mood. Enjoy our Cyber Week deals with up to 70% off streetwear, winterwear, gifts and more. Discover all our Cyber Week deals on Zalando.
Bring it back up.
You can pick up all the ingredients for a great Black Friday deal at Tesco Mobile, like the incredible iPhone SE, free for just €30 a month on our bill pay plan. That's a saving of $199.99. Plus, you'll even get 99% network coverage. This is Supermarket Mobile. Visit us in-store or search Tesco Mobile. Every little helps. T's and C's apply. 24-month contract payable by direct debit. 99% population coverage. See tescomobile.ie for full plan details and T's and C's.
In this week's RTE Guide, dig out your Christmas jumper as we chat with Ryan ahead of the Late Late Toy Show. In his new series, My Bungalow Bliss, Hugh Wallace helps owners transform their humble single stories. Plus your free Christmas gift guide with ideas for everyone on your list. Everything and more. RTE Guide on sale now.
Don't sleep in and miss the very latest beds and mattress offers from dfibeds.ie, Ireland's leading online bed and mattress retailer. You'll get a comfy Irish-made mattress, upholstered base and headboard from an amazing €229. Check out the full range at dfibeds.ie. Delivery free and guaranteed to you within 7 working days. DFI Beds. Sleep well, live well.
Highland Radio weather updates with National Fuels Pierce Road, Letterkenny for all your solid fuel needs at the keenest prices. 9137 400 or nationalfuels.ie.
Today will be mostly dry with sunny spells and isolated showers. Cloud will increase later in the day, though, bringing more frequent showers by evening. It'll be another cold day. Highest temperatures 5 to 7 degrees, winds light. Now, it's going to become very windy tonight as fresh to strong and gusty westerly winds gradually develop with gales on our north and northwestern coasts, and there'll be widespread showery rain too. It'll be coldest early in the night with minimum temperatures of 1 to 5 degrees. Not quite batten down the hatches weather, but not a million miles away from it either. Hi, Greg. Can you talk about this storm and snow on the way? It takes away loads of illness, head colds, flu, etc. And no, it's not COVID, right? Okay. I think we are talking about the weather later, aren't we? We have a weather expert on, would you believe, to talk about the weather because, you know, we might see a little bit of snow on Errigal, but weather sells papers and creates clicks. So sometimes the actual threat of snow and how much we'll see is amplified, is slightly exaggerated because people love to click and read and listen about that stuff. So we're going to have a weather forecasting expert on with us to get down into the ins and outs of it. Right, listen, I'm going to take a break before the news at 10. Stay right where you are. We'll be back with more on the 9 till noon show after the news and obituary notices.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Are your tyres ready for winter? Call into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
It's time. Time to wander through a land of natural wonder where breathtaking views are all around. Time to fill those lungs with fresh air on an unforgettable cycle trail. Oh, that's gorgeous. Time to bag a bargain or 5 on an epic afternoon shopping spree. It's time to embrace a giant adventure in Visit Mourne this autumn. Start planning for your next giant adventure at visitmournemountains.co.uk. Travel advice and guidelines apply. Visit nidirect.gov.uk. Check ahead with providers.
Mark James Menswear Strabane. Visit us on Railway Road to celebrate the launch of our brand new store and enjoy Euro for a pound plus generous discounts for all Sterling shoppers. Same street, same top brands, same great service, only bigger, brighter and better at Mark James Menswear, Railway Road, Strabane.
It's that time of year again. Long evenings, low temperatures and slippery roads. So for your free tyre check, call Donegal Tyres. They have all you need in stock. Winter or all-season tyres. Or, especially for wet Irish conditions, the latest generation Uniroyal, the rain tyre. Experience the difference. Call Donegal Tyres, Donegal Town. Phone 97-21482 or see donegaltyres.com.
Candles, lanterns, Christmas trees, decorations and all types of lights. Everything you need for Christmas. Experience the magic of Christmas at Cooney's. Our biggest and best Christmas shop has outstanding value on lights and trees. There really is something for everyone at Cooney's Letterkenny Retail Park.
If you're aged 60 to 69, you will soon be offered a COVID-19 vaccine booster dose. COVID-19 vaccines offer protection from serious illness, but this may weaken over time. The booster is recommended to give you the best possible protection. When it's time for your vaccination centre appointment, you will receive a text message from the HSE. It's very important to take up your booster appointment. For more information, visit hse.ie or call HSE Live on 1800 700 700 from the HSE.
Just arrived at Meehan's of Rafo, new autumn-winter range of men's and ladies' diesel clothing. Men's shirts and polo shirts up to 5XL. Men's jeans too for €55. And Black Friday special. There's 20% of ladies' diesel hoodies and sweatshirts at Meehan's of Rafo.
Connect Hearing are offering a free hearing test at the Courtyard Shopping Centre Letterkenny and Dunlow Clinic. We also offer a home visit service for test, wax removal and repairs, perfect for those who are unable to visit our centres. Are you struggling to hear the TV or radio? We have the solution. Our wireless devices can be connected to both your TV and phone. With the latest in technology, coupled with a first-class repair and service facility, call us today on 074 91 13296. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
It's 10 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Catherine Gaffney. The Social Protection Minister says there are no plans to reopen the pandemic unemployment payment. Heather Humphreys says the number of people on the live register has actually fallen in the last week. That is despite the hospitality sector reporting a big drop-off in business since the midnight curfew was introduced. Heather Humphreys says that isn't translating to job losses at the moment.
The Department has not seen an increase in applications for job seekers payments over the last week, and in fact the opposite has happened, and the numbers on the live register have actually fallen to approximately 165,000 this week. So this does not point to any significant layoffs as a result of the midnight closing time.
Primary school children could be asked to wear face masks as part of measures being considered by NPHET. Health officials who meet this morning will also look at whether masks should be required at large or crowded events. Nearly 1 in every 100 children tested positive for COVID-19 last week. Donegal County Council will spend over €162 million next year, almost 5% more than the figure for 2021. Councillors will meet online this morning for the authority's annual budget meeting after plans to hold the meeting in the Ora Leisure Centre were dropped this week. Donald Kavanagh has more.
Chief Executive John McLaughlin says the budget will focus on a number of key themes. They include the maintenance and improvement of houses, roads and other key infrastructure, support for economic development and job creation, and strengthening the Donegal brand as a location for investment and tourism. He said the council is also preparing a pipeline of plans for housing, roads, public realm improvements, recreation and leisure, and job creation infrastructure that will be supported in the budget. Finance Officer Richard Gibson says the budget has increased from just over 155,285 million in 2021 to an estimated 162,303 million in the draft budget for 2022. The draft budget includes a new €350,000 fund to initiate a pilot project for infrastructure in council housing estates, as well as capacity to ensure that co-funding requirements are available for all projects currently underway. The council also says it will maintain levels of funding across its services in 2022.
Holiday homeowners affected by Micah are being urged to come forward with their stories. Campaigners are hopeful the proposals for the long-awaited Micah redress scheme will finally be ready by next Tuesday following several delays. The proposals are due to be brought before Cabinet on November the 30th following weeks of negotiations. However, it's yet unclear whether holiday home owners will be included in the enhanced scheme. Micah Action Group PRO Michael Doherty says it's vital with people with secondary homes in Donegal or elsewhere affected by Micah have their voices heard.
Imagine a Donegal dotted with derelict holiday homes. Imagine being a neighbour, a principal private resident, and your neighbour in a semi-detached house or in the same estate where there are a number of holiday homes and looking out at dereliction there. And that's what we're facing in years to come if that's not tackled now. Tell your very real down-to-earth stories and let's see what we can do again to help yourselves and help us help you, that there's no excluded homes by the time this is all said and done.
The Dáil has heard that over 340 children died in infancy or early childhood in the Stranorlar County home. Formerly the local workhouse, the home admitted 1,646 unmarried mothers between 1922 and 1964. The stark figures were highlighted again this week as part of calls for the mother and baby home redress scheme to include all former residents. Speaking in the Dáil, Donegal Deputy Thomas Pringle says the government must do the right thing.
In the Stranorlar County home in Donegal alone, 343 illegitimate children died in infancy or early childhood. Many of of those who lived were subject to awful conditions and unfortunately experienced separation anxiety, PTSD and other mental health issues throughout their lives. The very least that we can do is give full and fair redress to every single one of those impacted. This is the very least that survivors deserve after all they have been forced to endure and continue to endure as well. I am calling on the government to do the right thing here.
And France's Interior Minister says the UK needs to reform its labour market to stop enticing migrants into crossing the English Channel. Yesterday was the deadliest day of attempts so far, with 27 people killed near Calais, including a young girl. 5 people have been arrested. Freelance journalist Vincent McAvee says they're believed to be part of a smuggling gang.
Yesterday was an incredibly busy day. There were 25 attempted crossings. So it shows the level of operation now that is going on the French coast, and we understand that it's not just gangs that are operating out of the north of France, they're operating from places like the Netherlands, from Belgium as well. So this has become a cross-continental police mission to try and smash these gangs.
Weather now. Today there will be sunny spells and well scattered showers, and another cold day too, with highest afternoon temperatures of 5 to 7 degrees. That's it for now. We're back with the headlines for you at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The obituary notices for Thursday morning, the 25th of November. The death has occurred of Dennis Boyle, John Tague, Acres, Burton Port. His remains are reposing at his late residence. House private to family, neighbours and close friends only, please. Funeral mass on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock in St Columba's Church, Acres, followed by burial in Belcrich Cemetery. The death has taken place of Kay McGee, Ballyar, Ramelton. Her remains are reposing at her home, which is private to family only, please. Funeral mass tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in St Angus's Church, Burt. Burial afterwards in Burt Cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only. Donations, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of Patrick Sweeney, funeral director. The death has taken place of Mary T. Coyle, 30, Dr. McGinley Road, Letterkenny. Her remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow, going to St Eunan's Cathedral for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in Umla Old Cemetery, Carrigart. Wake and funeral are private to family and friends, please. The death has taken place of Bridget McColgan, Bocken Kildaff. Bridget's remains will repose at her home from 1 o'clock today. Bridget's funeral mass will take place on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock in St Mary's Church, Bocken Kildaff, with burial afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. The funeral mass can be viewed live on kildaffparish.com. House private to family and close friends, please. The death has taken place of William Crawford, Ballykieran, Kilmacrennan. His remains are reposing at his home. Funeral service tomorrow at 1 o'clock in Litcher Presbyterian Church, Kilmacrennan, with burial afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. The funeral service can be viewed live on Patrick Sweeney, funeral director's Facebook page. Family flowers only. Donations, if desired, to St Joseph's Community Hospital Patients Comfort Fund, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Elizabeth Lizzie McConnell, Nee McEnany, 7 Columban Terrace, Strabane, and formerly of Corrimore, Cranagh. Funeral leaving her home tomorrow morning at 9:20 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmount at 10 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to St Vincent de Paul Society, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. The house is private to family, neighbours and close friends only, please. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has occurred of Seamus Green, Lohanure, Dunlow. His remains are reposing in McGlynn's funeral home, with viewing today from 2 until 6 o'clock, with removal at 6 o'clock going to his late residence. The house is strictly private at the request of the family. Funeral mass tomorrow at 12 noon in the Star of the Sea Church, Annagry, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of John McDade, Altahala, Clonmany. His remains are reposing at his home. Viewing today from 4 until 6 o'clock for family, neighbours and close friends, with the remainder of the time strictly private, please. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:20, going to St Mary's Church, Clonmany, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock. Burial afterwards in the new cemetery. The Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv/Clonmany. And the death has taken place of Kevin Quinn, Mullintee Boyle, Glanties. Kevin's remains are reposing at the family home. Funeral Mass today at 12 noon in St Connell's Church, Glanties, with interment afterwards in the local cemetery. The house is private before the funeral today, please, to family, close friends and neighbours. The funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv/Glanties. And the death has taken place of Charles Boyce, Boots, Pound Street, Ramelton. His remains are reposing at his home. House private to family only. Funeral Mass tomorrow at 11 o'clock in St Mary's Church, Ramelton, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Rosary tonight at 9 o'clock. Funeral Mass and Rosary can be viewed on Church Services TV, St Mary's Church, Ramelton. Family, flowers only. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
If you're aged 60 to 69, you will soon be offered a COVID-19 vaccine booster dose. This is because cases are starting to increase in this age group. Your booster dose will give you the best possible protection against serious illness from COVID-19. You should get it around 6 months after your last COVID-19 vaccine. When it's time for your vaccination centre appointment, you will receive a text message from the HSE. For more information, visit hse.ie or call HSE Live on 1800 700 700 from the HSE.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Okay, you're welcome back to the programme. Some of your comments. Mary says, I did the census several times, Greg. Unfortunately, I'm too old to do it now. Mary, is that by your own decision, or is there an upward age that I missed on that? What an absolute brilliant interview. I'm blown away by that man Michael's expertise in maritime investigations and ability to relay his knowledge. Well done, both he and Padraig McLaughlin. I think it was really important, you know. It's not going to be of huge interest to everyone, but I think it's important to get that on the record. And I hope it offers some comfort for the families to hear that conversation and those words on their own local radio station as well. I hope that offered some comfort, as I mentioned. Hi, Greg. You mentioned homeowner maybe deciding to wait to buy a home. My son and his partner have been trying to buy a house for the past 3 years. If a house becomes available within their budget, there could be as many as 100 plus looking at the same house, meaning the price goes up and immediately out of their budget again. It's disgraceful the way our young are being treated. My son and his partner are on good enough wages and should be able to afford a home. In the meantime, they're paying €1,500 a month rent for the past 3 years, and I'm sure to them that feels like money down the drain. It's a lot of money, isn't it? 18,000 a year, 36,000 for 2 years, and 54,000. So they've paid €54,000 in rent, which I'm sure they're thinking, well, you know what, that could be going against our mortgage. Greg, I see Garth Brooks has decided to honour us with his presence in Ireland again. Tickets are on sale at the moment. Should we have told him to clear the F off after the fiasco the last time? Many people lost money because they bought them online from people who were probably charging way over the odds. When the concerts were cancelled, the person who bought the tickets online would have got their money back. But how many of them gave the money back to the people who bought their tickets from him on Facebook? Very few, I would think. Garth did himself no PR favours the last time and came across as greedy, but apparently it's all forgotten now and the circus is on again, and it's on for a third time. A third date has been added. I believe it's the Sunday, is it? It's Friday. And the 4th and 5th, right? Well, sure, that was an inevitable, wasn't it? Because he couldn't throw his rattle out of the pram again. So he's doing the Fit 5 now, as was suspected. So they dripped 2, sold them out, 3rd released. Must be nearly sold out, is it? The 3rd as well, 4th and 5th. So yes, we have very short memories. But then there are people listening to this that probably have the phone out to say, well, you know, if you buy your tickets on the black market, so to speak, you are always going to be taking a risk. Okay, so he's doing the 5. Caller says her home is also her business as she runs a B&B, has already been hit with the recession, and now this, I presume, has had to take a moratorium on the mortgage payments but is back paying now. This home was meant to be passed on to the children, but it doesn't look like this will be the case now because of Micah. It's hard to know what to do now with regards to repairs. Doesn't know whether to wait to see what happens or just go ahead and get them done sooner rather than later. Again, I would suggest if you haven't already, have a conversation with some members of the Micah Action Group. They might be able to give you some guidance or at least just to bounce your feelings off them. Morning, Greg. Good morning to you. I have planned to attend an event in Sligo on Sunday, so to avoid an early morning start, I thought I'd do a hotel overnight stay on Saturday. So I contacted a number of Sligo hotels for a rate. For single, I was quoted €180 room only, 190 with breakfast. Other hotels 189, 169 without breakfast. I know rates are higher at weekends, but I think rates like these are very overpriced. Hotels trying to make up now for the lost revenue due to lockdowns. What do listeners think? That comes in from Charlie. I don't know what, Sligo, there might be a bit of demand on it. Could be hen parties and stag parties, and I don't know if there's any other events ongoing. Does €180 for room only in Sligo on a Saturday night towards the end of November, does that sound over the odds? Are they raking back money they may have lost? I don't know. People obviously are paying it, or they couldn't charge it, could they? Would you please give the Christmas toy appeal a mention on your show? It's for disadvantaged children here in Donegal. It's a very good cause and a great opportunity for the people to give new toys only. You can contact Ewan Devaney in Ballabafay. Thank you very much. The closing date, 10th of December. We have Ewan's number here, by the way. There's no point me reading it out because no one's going to be fit to remember it. If you want to donate new toys for disadvantaged children in our county, then you can contact us. We'll give you Brandon's number. Is it Brandon? Ewan, I beg your pardon. How is the air quality so bad in Letterkenny as smokeless is being used? Well, you see, the thing is, it isn't being used. I've used smokeless fuel. It's rubbish, I think, compared to coal for an open fire. It also is not actually smokeless. It does produce a smoke, but nothing like coal. The bottom line is I think a lot of people are burning stuff that isn't smokeless coal, be it wood, regular coal, or peat. And that was really the nature of the conversation yesterday from our expert. He's been looking at the air quality. He says, look, clearly, because you can see the three elements that are peaking and at what times, it's clear people are not all burning smokeless coal in Letterkenny. That's just, you can't deny it. It's there. The information is there. But this caller believes it's the traffic built up around the town all day long. And if so, there should be pressure put on politicians to push for the bridge over Swilly. That should happen anyway. But the chemicals that are being found in the air and the peak, it's about 9 o'clock when people are lighting the fires and all that kind of stuff. Cars don't admit this. This has to be from burning solid fuel, as I say, coal, smoky coal, wet wood, dry wood even, or peat. And it's really hard to deny that. So lots of people are doing it. Personally, I can kind of understand why, because it's very expensive to begin with and you want a decent fire and heat. That being said, it shouldn't be happening according to the regulations, and we had the gentleman on yesterday calling for the council to crack down on it, because people out walking around about 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night are inhaling an awful lot of these nasty byproducts of burning these fuels. Knowledge, even when it upsets you, can be power, and enlighten men on wisdom and learning, was a text that I'm not sure of the context, but hey, probably decent advice. Who needs context? Now, in an area outside Letterkenny where there are some really bad corners, cattle keep escaping out onto the road at least 4 times in recent weeks. This is so dangerous, believes this listener, as people are coming around the corner in their cars and not expecting a cow to be standing in the middle of the road. Eventually, someone is going to be killed, they warn. The guards have been notified, but there's yet anything to be done about it. Okay, well, we don't want anyone to get killed or seriously injured. Right, okay, it's Thursday already. Can you believe? I can. It's been a long week. But it's time to play bingo. The jackpot today is up for grabs. Good luck if you are playing. Here are the numbers. Back with more after the break. Oh, by the way, Joe Kelly will be on with us a little later on talking history. Joe, always incredibly popular. He's coming up after 11 o'clock. We also have a weather forecaster on to talk about what weather we can expect over the course of the next couple of days, the weekend and into next week. I might even ask him or him, are we going to have snow at Christmas? He can't tell us, but it's a nice question to ask, isn't it?
It's time for Ncbi Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 25th of November, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €6,600 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S14. It's game number 47. The jackpot number is 36. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 90, 88, 54, 66, 81, 36, 39, 37, 7, and finally 42. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI Bingo information at highlandradio.com. Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Are your tyres ready for winter? Call into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
Concerts are back. Join me, David James, for a Night of the Stars in concert on Thursday the 2nd of December in the Strand Hotel, Ballyliffin, featuring Robert Mazzell, Patrick Feeney, Trudy Lawler, Jim Devine and Shauna McStravis. Tickets €20, available from hotel reception or by phoning 074 937 6107. A Night of the Stars in concert Thursday the 2nd of December, the Strand Hotel, Ballyliffin.
Don't miss the crazy Black Friday deals right now at Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Up to 70% off the recommended retail price on hand and power tools, paint, homeware, clothing and much more. Many are at clearance prices that won't be repeated. Loads of great present ideas now reduced. That's amazing Black Friday deals right now at Watson Hire, Kiltoy, Letterkenny. Visit watsonhire.ie or see Facebook for daily offers.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring 70% off sale. Get up to 70% off on all your purchases. Up to 70% off all tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware. Everything's reduced in store. The 70% off sale at Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring. Stores nationwide. Sale ends Sunday.
Special offers at Doherty Central Moville. This Centre Fresh Irish Sirloin Steak, €5. Cadbury Milk Tray, €6.35. Half price inspired by Central Christmas Cake and Pudding Range. And Centre Fresh Cherry Tomatoes and Closed Cup Mushrooms, 58 cents. Family Apple Bag, Easy Peeler Net and Broccoli Crown, 89 cents. With more fantastic offers in the off licence at Doherty Central Moville. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
The National Food Waste Separation Roadshow is at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, Friday 26th of November from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Drop in on Friday with your air code and pick up a free kitchen caddy to make food waste separation much easier. Limited stock. When they're gone, they're gone. More information on mywaste.ie. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
It's Black Friday sale time in Inish Fitness at the Waterfront Hotel Dunlow. Save a massive 20% on memberships from 26th to the 30th of November. Give your loved ones the gift of fitness or treat yourself to a healthier you. Secure your membership or gift voucher with 20% off by calling Inish Fitness Dunlow 074 95 22 590.
Having successfully navigated their way to the Donegal Junior title and the step up to intermediate football, the next assignment for Downings is an Ulster Championship encounter this weekend. They will play Down champions Auchlis Naffin at Park Esther in Newry on Sunday. There will be regular updates here on Highland from the 1:30 throw-in in association with Boyce's Centra stores Fulcara, Dunfanaghy and Carrigart. Boyce's Centra. Shop local, support local.
Christmas is well underway at Letterkenny Shopping Centre. Park for free and get everything you need. Thank you for shopping with us this Christmas. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at
23 minutes past 10. You're very welcome back to the programme. We're joined on it now by Ciara Gilliland. Thank you very much for joining us, Ciara. I wish I was speaking to you under different circumstances, but I appreciate your time this morning nonetheless.
Thank you for having me.
Right. Now, you are from Victoria Bridge, isn't that right?
That's right.
Okay, and tell us about your son, Ben.
Ben is a beautiful 13-year-old boy. Ben has Kabuki syndrome. It is a rare genetic syndrome. When Ben met the Kabuki specialist, we were told that Ben had the rarest form of Kabuki syndrome. He is the only one on record who presents like Ben.
Mm-hmm.
He has scoliosis, a 45-degree curve in his spine. He is non-verbal. He is double incontinent. Half of Ben's body from his head to his toe is bigger than the other side, so Ben walks with a limp. He has global development delay. He has severe learning and behaviour difficulties. And even though Ben's 13, he has the mental age of a 3-year-old.
Now, Kabuki syndrome, was he born with this, or is this something that develops as Ben developed?
No, he was born with it, but it was only about 5 years ago that he was diagnosed with it.
Okay. Given the care that's required for Ben, as you've been outlining, obviously highly dependent, that's not care realistically that can be provided at home, is it?
It was up until just recently. I tried my best and struggled on with Ben. I had help with carers who used to take Ben out, but then Ben got too aggressive. So I was sick myself and in and out of hospital in June. So when I came home, Ben was very hard on me, lashing out and hurting me. So I had to give in and ask social workers for help.
Yeah, which is heartbreaking for you too, of course, because he's, as you mentioned, he's a beautiful, beautiful boy, but has many, many challenges, and it's not responsible for his actions. But it's very difficult for you, obviously, as an extremely loving mum.
Yeah, it's very difficult. My heart just broke from the day that I had to ask for help. I didn't want to let Ben go, but I had to, as I have a 4-year-old as well. And she was experiencing some abuse, and she was seeing me getting hit by Ben.
Yeah, I know. It's incredibly difficult. And you have to also, yeah, it's really tough. Now, in terms then of care for Ben, there's no options for you really in Northern Ireland. Is it because of this particular condition, or is it that there simply aren't any spaces, I wonder?
There is nowhere at all in Northern Ireland to cater for any children with disabilities as a permanent live-in home.
Now, that are you saying that those spaces simply don't exist, or they're at capacity?
They don't exist.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what do you do and other parents and guardians do in situations like this, which obviously it's going to be as prevalent in Northern Ireland as it is in any place in the world?
Well, the options that I was told was that Ben would be sent to Scotland, or he would be sent to Dublin, Navan or Cavan.
And that, I mean, it's an awful long way from you. You need to have access to your son, and certainly whatever about Navan or Cavan, Dublin and Scotland certainly would seem to be just non-runners for you.
It's just not good at all. Yeah. Not only for me, to move Ben away from all his familiar things, all his surroundings. I go and visit him every week. To move him out of his school, which he loves so much, from all his friends, it just wouldn't be good for Ben.
So what do you see as potential solutions? As local as possible, I suppose. I mean, I presume you've made a lot of inquiries. There are, hopefully politicians making inquiries on your behalf. Like, what is a possible realistic solution, or is there perhaps there is none, Ciara?
Nobody as yet has got back to me about any solution. Ben at the minute is living in a respite facility called Avalon in Omagh. Avalon is an amazing place. The staff are brilliant, Ben, but it's only a short stay place, so Ben can't stay there long term. So what I want to get out there is something needs to be done. Somewhere needs to be made for these children, because Ben isn't the only child that the parents can't cope with anymore. These children have just outgrown home. They need professional help. They need space. They need a building where they can live forever. Families can come and go, visit them. That's my fight for Ben and for other families, because there is absolutely nowhere in Northern Ireland.
It's almost hard to believe that, isn't it? That
it really is.
I mean, can you imagine all the individual struggles that families are going through, the heartbreaking decisions that have to be made, and they're being forced to make them, and you're being you're going down one road that is a fork in it, and that you can't manage the situation at home, which is one way, and the other is having to remove Ben from everything he knows and from yourselves and place him into care a long way away. I mean, it's impossible. Right. You're in an awfully difficult position.
It's very, very sad. So it is very sad.
Are there any options in Sligo or Donegal, perhaps, that could be workable for you and Ben?
I haven't been offered anything. That was the only places that were mentioned to me. And as of yet, a lot of people are fighting. We want Robin Swan and the Minister of the Western Trust to come and meet myself and to meet Ben, and to try and understand that we are humans. We're not just a number. We're not just people on a piece of paper. We are humans we love each other. We have an unbreakable bond, and just see that this is ridiculous in this day and age, that there is nowhere in Northern Ireland for our children.
Like, I would have thought maybe there was one centralised in Belfast or mid-Ulster, and there wasn't enough funding to extend it, and the idea that there's nothing at all. I mean, this is something that, and this is not about politics. Every politician, regardless of what party you're on in Northern Ireland, needs to get together and get this sorted. At least have 2 or 3 regional facilities.
I know there's loads for 18 plus, but none for under 18.
Yeah, and sometimes you see it in reverse, that there are great supports for people until they turn 18, and then there's a cliff edge and they fall off it. That can be a problem in the Republic of Ireland, of course. Right. So in terms of who's taking it up for you, you're appealing to, you're looking to meet with Robin Swan. Hopefully he will meet with you. Other politicians, I can't imagine anyone is refusing you an ear on this, and to offer at least, support politically, to say, look, we're going to work on this. I mean, are you getting a good response from our politicians, from our elected reps?
Oh, I am, yes. Daniel McCrossan brought it up in Stormont, and he asked for Robin Swan to help us with this. He's been brilliant. Militia McHugh, he is going to bring it up next week in Stormont. There's been loads of politicians writing to Robin Swan, fighting for me, helping me. So please, God, I'll get some answers soon.
Yeah, because more immediately too, I suppose Christmas is coming, and you want to know what arrangements are in place in terms of, I don't know if Ben will be home or be able to be cared for local or whatever. I mean, have you any resolution in that regard? Or do you know what even is, say, happening in the short term?
Yeah, well, Ben's social workers have told me that Ben will be in Avalon for Christmas. So at least I know he'll be there for Christmas. But after Christmas, I don't know what the future holds for Ben.
Yeah, okay, because he is getting great care, but it is in a facility that's not designed for this type of long-term care.
Yeah, and other families are missing out because Ben is actually living there, and that's not fair either.
Yeah, okay. Well, listen, Ciara, thanks for speaking to us this morning. I hope you get some resolution. I hope you get, and Ben gets a resolution, but something needs to be done on an Ulster-wide basis, a Northern Ireland-wide basis, because this is just completely unacceptable.
It is. Thank you so much for having me.
No, it's our pleasure, Ciara, and I hope everything gets sorted. Thank you. Ciara Gilliland there, who is from West Tyrone. I'm flabbergasted that the options are go to Dublin, go to Scotland, Cavan, Navan. The facilities are there, but nothing in the 6 counties. And I'm sure there are people listening to this programme who would understand that and have experience of that. 086 60 25,000, your WhatsApps and texts from outside the Republic, from Northern Ireland, for example. WhatsApp or text 00353 86 60 25,000. We'll have a piece of music after we take this break.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Get your tyres ready for winter. Call in to Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
For great fuel deals, contact Gortley Sales and Hire. Large sacks and trailer loads of logs. Also briquettes, coal, kindling and gas with free delivery locally. Contact Gortley Sales and Hire in Letterkenny on 9126276.
At Christmas, it always feels so much better to give than to get. The best gift you can give this year is a vaccine to the most vulnerable people on our planet. UNICEF needs your support to deliver 3 billion vaccines. Go to unicef.ie to give a vaccine now, because it's not over for anyone until it's over for everyone. Let's give COVID the jab this Christmas. Visit unicef.ie.
Niall lives on a hill, a very steep hill, which is great for the calf muscles, but when it comes to squeezing in and out of that parking space between the neighbours' pride and joy, Niall begins to worry.
I wonder if they use recycled plastic to make all the recycling bins.
In the new Dacia Duster with automatic gearbox and hill start assist, at least hills are nothing to worry about. And from only €45 per week on the road, nor is the price. Don't worry, be Duster. Offer made under a hire purchase agreement. Terms and conditions apply. See dacia.ie.
Beat the cost of Brexit and no customs charges. Do you need a UK address? For your limited company or personal use, Space Hub in Derry can provide you with your own virtual office or mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Space Hub and collect at your convenience. Also brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock. Ideal for all your storage needs at our Springtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook or spacehubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for details.
Foy & Company in Ballybuffet and Letterkenny have some great Black Friday bargains with incredible value on selected sofas and other furniture, all available for nationwide delivery. These amazing offers run until Saturday 27th of November, in store and online at www.foys.ie. That's Black Friday offers this week at Foy & Company in Main Street, Ballybuffet and Port Road, Letterkenny, and at foys.ie.
Hi, Teresa Mannion here with a road safety alert for fog. When driving in fog, use your fog lights, slow down and drive with caution. Open your window when stopped at a junction and listen out for traffic. Don't forget to turn off your front and rear fog lights when fog clears. Visit rsa.ie from the Road Safety Authority.
Welcome back, 10:37. I wonder how many of you listening are in a queue for Garth Brooks tickets. Some massive queues out there, massive interest, even though people say, you know, we should be peed off with them and all. People want to go. Are you sitting in a queue? What number are you at? 086 60 25,000. Tell us. How many concerts are left? How many tickets are left? Mary back on. Mary said she was too old to do the census now. It's her own stamina, she says, of course. And that's fine. Thanks, Mary, for that. Good morning, Greg. Why are people not allowed to live in mobile homes in Ireland? I asked an architect to put planning permission in for a mobile home on my land. He told me I'm wasting my time. Council will not give planning permission. I phoned the council and the woman said, not a hope. And she told me to build a house. All right. I don't think if I got that advice from someone I rang up about a mobile home, build a house. I don't know what the story is. I mean, if they're on wheels, do they actually really require permission? Can you not move them around a bit? Is there a bit of grace? I think, you know, and they have access to satellites and people reporting as well. I think if you sort of say, for instance, in a relatively scenic area, plonked a mobile home there, sort of like a holiday home, they wouldn't be long getting onto you then. But if you have a one on your site while you're building a house, is that heavily enforced? Any experience of that? Again, Michaela taking your calls, 074 91 25,000. I got my Garth Brooks tickets, says this listener. So excited. Excellent stuff. Right. Okay. We'll take music. I played Gareth already, so I'm not going to play Garth Brooks because it's too obvious. Other people will be doing that, I would say. I'm going to play Walk the Moon. You can still, shut up and dance to Garth Brooks, I suppose. All right, that is Walk the Moon. Now, I don't want to delay our next guest any further. It's Dr. Owen DeBarra, who is a consultant in infectious diseases and a senior lecturer with the RCSI. Good morning to you, Doctor. Thanks for taking the call today. I'm sure you're very busy as always.
Yeah, morning, Greg.
Right, okay. I suppose before we talk about what NPHET might decide today, your overview of where we're at in terms of, this plateauing at what seemingly is a high level. Maybe we're seeing positivity rate level off or even perhaps slow down. We are seeing more discharges from hospitals. ICUs seem somewhat stable again at a very high number. This is already, though, putting pressure on an under-pressure health service. What's your overview of where we are at?
Yeah, I think we're... it's lovely to think that we're at a tipping point, but I think it's a bit early to get too optimistic, I'm afraid. We're under considerable pressure. And, what we've had to do to get to this point in terms of cancellations of other things and postponements and all have knock-on effects. So I think it's a little bit early. And also, we know with this disease, it takes about 2 weeks for impact. So for the case numbers that still translate into those, unfortunately, people who end up sick in hospital, whatever happens, we're in for, a difficult, probably four weeks or more.
And if we look at the high case rate, say, for instance, in younger people, which we don't want to see it in anyone, they are less likely to end up in hospital, thankfully. Can we maybe keep our fingers crossed that the cases that we are seeing now may not translate into hospitalizations as high as could happen?
Yeah, absolutely. And the high vaccination rate, all that means that the transition from case numbers to hospitalizations, it's really the hospitalizations we need to look at. But unfortunately, we just don't know exactly how many of those cases are going to end up in there. And again, it's the unvaccinated. Unfortunately, it's depressing where I'm working that every day it's another 4, 5, 6 people, majority of them unvaccinated, who've become unwell with this, and it didn't need to happen. So I really hope that we're in the right place, and I think the majority of the population are doing everything they can to get us through this without having to end up in drastic measures. I really don't want us to go to those lockdown bits. Nobody wants that.
No, but the public can be a wee bit frustrated too, of course, and you're a member of the public, of course, as well, Doctor, in that we feel we're doing absolutely everything we can, and then we hear no boosters for over 50s till after Christmas, and we've seen what impact that's having in Britain and other places now, and the delay in terms of adapting or adopting antigen testing. It can be a bit frustrating for us to keep putting our shoulder to the wheel, but feel we're being let down a little bit by others who make decisions.
Yeah, I can certainly understand that. I think, and I share the frustrations absolutely, certainly in terms of antigen testing and some of the other measures. In terms of the boosters, it's important to remember with the UK that the UK hasn't really done very well. The mortality rates and the ongoing high levels of mortality rates are really very high. And they started vaccination before us. So the booster for them, as it's coming in, is actually, still, we're still kind of ahead of them, if you like. And I'm sure we had a very effective first and second dose campaign. We will have a very effective third dose campaign. I'm sure we're going to see that accelerate in the coming weeks. It would have been nice to be earlier, but I think we have the tools and mechanisms. We know that's going to happen.
Would you prefer to see, or which do you think might be better, a return to, although we probably don't have the resources, a closer, contact tracing and what have you of our younger population, or do you favour now what Neffet seemed likely to recommend, that our very young people in schools wear masks?
Yeah, I think it's not about a single thing. It's all about layers. And there's some very nice data from the US, from public school systems, where they've shown the layers that you can do in primary education, and it can make it a much safer place. But it's the ventilation, it's the reinforcing if you're symptomatic not being there, it's masks, and it's some form of serial testing, whether that's salivary PCR or antigen, and it's some form of contact tracing. I mean, I think it wasn't a great thing that there was none, and I think public health struggle with capacity to have the full belt and braces. But I think we have to recognise that outbreaks occur in clustered settings, whether they're schools or any other, and we have to be able to respond to them and empower those people with the tools to deal with it. I think many other countries around the world, their young people are masked, and I think although it's got impacts on education and communication, I think by and large, certainly primary school kids do what's required of them, and my own kids feel bad not having a mask because everybody around them is wearing a mask,
Can I ask, there's a lot of conversation there and the use and sometimes the abuse of statistics as it relates to, where we're at now. A lot of people are trying to put it out there that actually we're in a worse position, even though we had such a huge uptake of vaccines. Could you explain that to us, Owen? In other words, like, how people are still dying, how people are still getting sick, even with the high rate of vaccination?
Well, I guess part of it is that it was pretty astounding to think the vaccine was so good to begin with. There is certainly wane in the vaccine efficacy, so its protection. It still remains very effective at preventing or reducing the amount of people that end up in hospital and die from this. But, even if they were 80 or 90% effective at that, that's still a lot of the population that are at risk. Plus the people who didn't get vaccination, albeit 7 or 8% of the population. And then you think about what we've done the last 3-4 months, that really society has been very open. We haven't managed to do that at any other time in the last 20 months without having catastrophic surges. So what we're seeing is a surge that's going on because we have people moving, because these vaccines don't fully prevent the transmission, but they do prevent that severe illness. And again, what we're seeing in the hospital setting is the majority of people in the severe end of it are unvaccinated, or people whose immune systems meant that the vaccine didn't fully work. So we would definitely be in a much worse situation. And the recent EU Commission graphic on that is quite nice representation that the countries with higher vaccination rates have lower death rates from COVID.
We have one of the lowest death rates in Europe. Finally, Doctor, how are you and your colleagues coping? Because it's been relentless. It must feel relentless. It's going to be a very tough December, even in the most optimistic of scenarios, and January, and then even when we get those months out of the way, if hopefully there's an improvement, there's an awful lot of catching up to do that could run, and new cases of general illness coming all the time. How do you cope? It must just feel like constant.
It does, and it's not healthcare is busy, and certainly acute hospitals and all sectors of healthcare are busy all the time, but it just becomes very wearing and fatiguing, and that especially when we're dealing with something that you feel that could have been preventable, when you're looking at a 30-something-year-old and you're like, this didn't need to happen. It's hard, and when we constantly deal with there's colleagues who can't come to shift and people are out, and we are experiencing the surge in community as the rest of the community is too. So it's very hard. And it makes it harder to deliver the care to your patients non-COVID, because you just can't get bed space, you can't get them in, you can't, that they feel more threatened about moving around. So it's hard, but I think this is always hard, and there's a lot of people experiencing various different forms of hardship through this. Mm-hmm. None of us want it, but there isn't any other way other than to carry on and just keep doing the next right steps, the next right things, and using all the tools that we have available. And things are going to get better. I think that the data is that the third doses are very effective, and hopefully it'll be more durable immunity. We'll have to see.
And then there are other treatments coming, hopefully, in the new year as well. So hopefully 2021 is the last bad year.
I think each successive wave has a lesser impact in terms of health. It's got a big societal impact, but a lesser impact. There's monoclonal antibodies have been approved by the EMA. There's 2 oral agents that have been approved. We're going to be in a better place.
All right. Finally, Doctor, it's not a political question, though it might sound like it. From your perspective as an expert, in one parliamentary party meeting, this has been referred to as a third dose and sort of almost like a 3-course vaccine. In another arm of the government, it's being called a booster. How do you see these third shots?
I think ultimately we'll look at the third shots as a third dose. That when these were devised, it looked like 2 doses was appropriate. Like with the Janssen vaccine, it looked like 1 dose was appropriate. But with time, I think it's become apparent that the mRNA vaccines are 3-dose vaccines. And it might be that at some point we say, actually, we need a 4th one. But at the moment, the 2 doses doesn't appear to have been adequate to stave off, and particularly in the setting of Delta and the oncoming variants. So I think I realize, I know what you're saying, and the language is important, but I think it looks like it's a third dose schedule rather than it being a booster.
Right, and I think that's important because you'll be getting boosters every 6 months, and I think it's just important if that messaging is made absolutely clear, then not by you, Owen. Listen, thanks for your time this morning.
Okay.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. Dr. Owen DeBar, consultant in infectious diseases, senior lecturer with the Royal College of Surgeons, Ireland.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Get your tyres winter ready. Drop in to Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
Already thinking about your Christmas party? At Luca's Burger, Pasta and Pizza Restaurant in Letterkenny, we have the perfect party package for you. You'll enjoy an amazing choice of freshly cooked foods from our special Christmas menu. Let our family look after you this Christmas at Luca's. To book, call 074 911 3404.
Homeland Fuel offers, keeping you warm for less. 20 kg Eco Bright, buy 5 bags for €50. Softwood logs, 3 bags for €10. 1 kg fire logs, 4 for €5. Shop in store or online at homeland.ie.
This week at Crucially Supermarket, we have special offers. Buy 9 chicken fillets for only €10. Steak roast £2 €9, £3 12.25, £4 €16, and £3 a stewing steak only €10. Crucially Supermarket, offering quality and value every day. Open 7 days for your convenience.
Candles, lanterns, Christmas trees, decorations, and all types of lights. Everything you need for Christmas. Experience the magic of Christmas at Cooney's. Our biggest and best Christmas shop has outstanding value on lights and trees. There really is something for everyone at Cooney's Letterkenny Retail Park.
Show your appreciation for Donegal business this Christmas with Buy Donegal. Visit buydonegal.com to see a host of participating businesses and special offers to start your shopping list. To get involved, buy a product or service from a Donegal business and share on social media. Buy Donegal takes place from the 5th of November to the 31st of December. For more, visit buydonegal.com.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring 70% off sale. Get up to 70% off on all your purchases. Up to 70% off all tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware. Everything's reduced in-store. The 70% off sale at Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring. Stores nationwide. Sale ends Sunday.
Fly to the airport the easy way on board an Expressway coach. With over 150 daily departures to and from Dublin Airport on 7 nationwide routes, Expressway is the way to go whatever time your flight. Expect a comfortable journey thanks to our reclining leather seats. And remember, all electronic devices can be kept on and connected to our free onboard Wi-Fi. Reserve and guarantee your seat in advance at expressway.ie. Expressway, take it easy.
Highland Radio weather updates with National Fuels Letterkenny. For a keen price on your home heating oil, call National Fuels on 9137 400.
So, today will be mostly dry with sunny spells. Just isolated showers. Cloud will increase later in the day, bringing more frequent showers into the west by evening. It'll be another cold day with highest afternoon temperatures of 5 to 7 degrees. Winds light. Winds won't stay light for long, though. Fresh to strong and gusty westerly winds gradually developing with gales on our coasts. There'll be widespread showery rain too. Some of you will love that. Some of you won't sleep a wink, depending on where your house is situated. I know lots of people in micro-affected houses would be seeing weather forecasts like that with absolute dread. And it's funny how even something like the weather, you look at it differently too when you do a programme like this. Right, I want you to stick around for the next hour of the show as well, by the way, as you do, as always. But it's an interesting one. We're going to be talking about the weather, see what's coming. Lots of different talk about sleet and snow or whatever it might be. And also we will be joined by Joe. Dr. Joe will be joining us to talk history. And I know lots of you always enjoy that. If you want to watch the programme, the last hour of the show, hop on YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland. You can speak to us and interact with us there. Good morning to Annie watching with us, Eileen, Audrey, John, Marietta, and DJ, Marie, Jude, and others. Thank you. But you can hop on and watch the show on Facebook too. Highland Radio News and Sport, or Highland Radio, Highland Hub it's called, isn't it? Right, a couple of comments before we break for the news. I want to make people aware of a scam doing the rounds. I got a bogus call from the tax office claiming that I had sent in an illegal tax return. I'm a pensioner, so I didn't have to do a tax return. Yep, and I got two messages yesterday from Bank of Ireland, not a Bank of Ireland customer, saying that there was irregular activity on my account. Well, our Tánaiste Leo Varadkar has just been on Claire Byrne, said health service not under pressure. This from a doctor shows the disrespect they have for our frontline workers who are ready to collapse. I would have to have heard that myself. I don't doubt what you heard, but... final one before the break. We feel the personal contact has been lost between parent and teachers, the relationship because of COVID. Any communication is now done through email. It's very difficult if you have any concerns. The relationship between parents and teachers is very important. I'm just wondering, is this all primary schools? Interesting point. Will we get that stuff back, I wonder, as we move into next year and move out of this pandemic? I do wonder.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Winter is coming. Get your tyres winter ready. Call into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
This Christmas, give the gift of books from Eason with the best Irish life stories, like anaesthetist Colin Black's entertaining Gas Man, 4 Years in the Cauldron by RTE's Brian O'Donovan, Journey to the Well by sisters Mary Kennedy and Deirdre Niconeja, and actress Ivana Lynch's The Opposite of Butterfly Hunting. That's Christmas gifts bringing us together again at Eason, in store and online.
entitlement changes for 30,000 farmers. In this week's Farmers Journal, we reveal government plan for leasing and clawback of entitlements. As the fertiliser crisis escalates, we have 5 pages of essential advice for beef, sheep, dairy and tillage farmers. In a changing jobs market, don't miss our Agri-Jobs Focus and what to look for when buying a second-hand tractor. Plus, free newspaper for young farmers only inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. On sale now.
Store & Go Springtown Dairy, the north of Ireland's only temperature-controlled smart access individually sized storage units.
Store & Go offers storage for personal storage, house moves and renovations. Business storage for excess stock or filing systems. Once signed up, you can access 24 hours a day through an app on your phone, gaining access through 4 levels of security to your most precious possessions.
Call Store & Go Springtown Dairy on 02871 278 900 to discuss your needs and get bespoke advice or get a free quote at storeandgo.net.
The day has finally arrived. Some say the most important one of the year. Tesco's Christmas home delivery and free click and collect slots are now open to book. This Christmas, nothing's stopping us. So give yourself a little help this year and book yours today at tesco.ie. Book early. Slots will be going faster than, well, Santa's sleigh on Christmas Eve. Tesco. Every little helps.
Looking to gift your staff this Christmas? Why not spoil them with a Michael Henny's gift card? For corporate packages, call us on 074 9131217. Michael Henny's Ballybuffet for the dreamers this Christmas. Open Sundays 1:30 to 6 p.m. or shop online with free next day delivery at michaelhennys.com.
Visit Santa at the Courtyard Shopping Centre, Letterkenny this weekend. Friday, Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 5. Great gifts and delicious food in a festive atmosphere. The Courtyard, open this Sunday from 12 to 6.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock in the 9 till noon show. Time for an update. It's over to the newsroom. Good morning, Catherine Gaffney.
Good morning, Greg. Donegal County Council's budget meeting is underway with Cahirla Councillor Jack Murray saying it is the biggest day of the council's calendar. He said with projected expenditure of over €162 million, the budget includes over €1,000 for every man, woman and child in the county. The council's capital budget will be considered on Monday, with Micah one of the issues on that agenda. The budget meeting is being streamed live this morning. A link and all the details of the meeting so far are available on our website, highlandradio.com. Letterkenny University Hospital is once again the most overcrowded in Ireland today, with 58 people awaiting admission there this morning. 22 were on trolleys in its emergency department, while a further 38 were waiting on wards. The National Public Health Emergency Team is meeting this morning to consider the next steps in the country's COVID-19 battle. Public health officials are considering guidance around getting primary school children to wear face masks in the classroom. The Social Protection Minister says there are no plans to reopen the pandemic unemployment payment. That's despite the hospitality sector reporting a big drop-off in business since the midnight curfew was introduced. Holiday home owners affected by Micah are being urged to come forward with their stories. Campaigners are hopeful the proposals for the long-awaited Micah redress scheme will finally be ready by next Tuesday, following several delays. However, it's unclear whether holiday home owners will be included in the enhanced scheme. The Dáil has heard that over 340 children died in infancy or early childhood in the Stranorlar County home. The stark figures were highlighted again this week as part of calls for the Mother and Baby Home Redress Scheme to include all former residents. The hunt is on to recruit over 200 enumerators in Donegal for Census 2022. They're needed to work for 10 weeks next year, delivering and collecting forms from every home in the county. Finally, planning has been approved by Donegal County Council for on-site renewable electric vehicle charging stations at the Letterkenny Institute of Technology campus. The project will see LYIT become one of the first third-level campuses to showcase such infrastructure in Ireland. That's it for now. We're back with an update for you again at 12 noon.
Thank you very much, Catherine.
is finally over.
You ready?
Disney's 60th animated classic arrives.
The fate of the family comes down to you.
Experience it fully in cinemas. From the creators of Frozen and the musical minds behind Moana.
Let's go!
Critics agree it's one of the best Disney films of the modern era. It's spectacular, beautiful, and imaginative.
I will save the magic.
Wait, how do I save the magic?
Disney's Encanto. Don't miss it in cinemas now. Certificate PG.
All right, you're welcome back to the last hour of the show. Hi there, just wanted to let listeners know that they should be aware of scam calls from Amazon Prime. There are a lot of people shopping online with Black Friday offers, and the real Amazon Prime are offering free Prime membership for 30 days. The caller asks you to opt out of this, otherwise your bank will be deducted the €79 membership fee. Just wanted to let you know. They are targeting local numbers at the minute. Just received call this morning. Kind regards coming in from Kathy. Thank you very much, Kathy, for that. Right, okay. Our next item now is weather related. And we're joined on the programme by Alan O'Reilly of the Carlow Weather Channel. Good morning to you, Alan.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, okay. So what are the prospects for this weekend weather-wise? It's going to get pretty windy up these parts towards this evening, isn't it?
It is indeed. The first named storm of the season, Storm Arwen, has been named by the UK Met Office.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a bit of an unusual one. It's a low-pressure system. We're used to coming from the west or the southwest. This one's coming from the north. So it's going to feed down over tomorrow, really, and into Saturday with some very strong winds. Donegal is probably going to bear the brunt of them for Ireland, and it's the only county in the 26th to have a yellow warning at the moment, and that comes into effect at 3 o'clock tomorrow until 6 a.m. on Saturday morning. Now, that could be updated, so keep an eye on that. But basically, we're looking at a spell of very, very strong winds tomorrow, especially tomorrow night, along with cold temperatures. So it's going to feel bitterly cold in that wind chill, really, really, really cold.
Yeah, get in and stay warm if you can. When we talk about winds of that strength, are they likely to be damaging winds, or...?
Well, you're looking at gusts of maybe, 90, 100, 110 kilometres an hour, possibly on the coast especially. I suppose, as I said, there will be a little bit unusual in that they'll be coming from the north direction. So most people are probably more used to kind of getting exposed. So you might find debris and different things that are not normally being affected. So, but yeah, certainly, those, especially along the coastline, will want to take heed of the warning, because there will be some very strong winds. And as I say, coming from a little bit of an unusual direction as well. There will also be feeding in some showers. So those showers tomorrow, well, this afternoon, this evening, but tomorrow especially, will be sleety, and some of them could turn wintry into snow tomorrow night especially, and especially on high ground. So, you know the roads locally yourselves on high ground there. Tomorrow night we could see some wintry falls on high ground, especially tomorrow night.
All right, what's it looking like through Saturday, Sunday and heading into next week? Any sign of some milder weather?
Yeah, so Saturday will be still very breezy, but the winds will ease through the afternoon, so it will calm down on Saturday. And while it will be wet to start off with, there will be some good sunny spells on Saturday, so it'll not be too bad an afternoon really, but still very cold. Sunday then we'll see cloud and some patchy rain at times as well, coming in from the west, still very cold. It does look like it's going to turn a little milder then for the early days of next week, back up to 10, 11 degrees, but showery. So if we can get through the weekend, we probably won't have to be too cold next week. As long as the lights stay on for the tie show, we should be okay.
It's actually, you didn't even think about that. The one thing about us in the northwest, though, we get so much of this type of weather. Our electricity infrastructure is really quite resilient, but still, hopefully we don't see any big outages. Obviously, long-term forecasting doesn't go a month. 1 month to this day, you know who's coming. It's the big guy. There's no way of telling us if there's any possibility of snow over the Christmas period.
No, it's really too far out. I mean, 2010 was the last time we really saw a white Christmas. Statistically, we did.
And that was a bad winter. I mean, it was cold for a long time. That snow lay for a long time too, didn't it?
It did. It came from November, really, and it stayed really right up until after St. Stephen's Day. So that was really a remarkable event. There are some signals that some people will point to kind of say that was an increased risk of a cold December, possibly. But, you know, we kind of see those trends, and they don't always end up stratospheric warming and different La Nina. And there's loads of weather terms you can talk about, but there are some signals that we could have a higher risk of a cold spell, but really and truly, once you go beyond, 10 days, forecast becomes very unreliable.
All right, so after Sunday, mild for a period then, so really is what we're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, certainly for a couple of days. It could turn back a little bit cooler again later next week, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday don't look too cold. But certainly if you have plans for tomorrow night and Saturday morning, and if they're outdoors, you're going to really want to wrap up, because the wind chill, while the temperature, the weather station might record 4 degrees, that wind chill could be minus 4 degrees. So it's going to be a biting wind, or a lazy wind, as my grandfather used to say. It's too lazy to go around you, it'll go straight through you.
Very good. A wise man indeed. Listen, Alan, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Take care of yourself. Alan O'Reilly there of the Carlow Weather Channel. You can follow them on Twitter and Facebook as well if you want to stay across the weather there. Another caller says, if a top-up vaccine booster is required every 6 months, then it should not be called a 3-dose vaccine like Leo. Your learned guest called it. Should it not be called the Infinity vaccine? And that's exactly why I asked someone who's actually on a COVID ward, working in a COVID ward. He's not sitting in an office somewhere, or he's not a politician sitting in the Dáil. He's a man that's actually working on the ward with sick people. And what I heard from him is he saw this as a 3-dose vaccination, and that it may be required for some people to get, like an annual flu vaccine for COVID. But there's far more treatments coming down the lines in any case. Hi, Greg. There's another dangerous scam going around. It's called the National Lottery, the biggest scam of all, says the caller. Is it a scam? There's a lot of balls. The odds are millions upon millions upon millions to one. Is that really a scam? We're all complicit in it. Micheál Martin, he's backing calls now for the lottery regulator to explain why the 19 million jackpot isn't being won. He was replying to Fine Gael TD Bernard Durkin in the Dáil, who we spoke to on this programme, I believe, who said Oireachtas committee should examine why the top prize has not been won since June 24. He added that follows a precedent that was obviously set in 1913 in Monte Carlo and later in Las Vegas. Mr. Durkin said players who have been buying their tickets twice a week are rightly fed up. It's high time, he said, to see what's going on inside that machine. Let me see what's making those balls spin. How long more will people continue to buy tickets if they don't believe they have a fair chance of winning? We have to get to the root of exactly what's at play here. Are the 47 rollovers to date just pure chance, or are there flaws that need to be addressed? It must outline what steps can be taken to provide the public with clarity and reassurance. Okay, and Micheál Martin sort of concurred, says, look, we need to look into this. Right, okay. We are going to be speaking to a local filmmaker from Derry very shortly. His name is Nathan Edgar, and he's produced a new documentary called Foyle, Search and Rescue. We're going to be speaking to him about his work after we take this break. So stay right where you are, and if you want to watch that interview, as I mentioned, you can jump up on our social medias, Highland Radio Ireland on YouTube and our Facebook pages.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Winter is coming. Get your tyres winter ready. Call in to Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
Callahan's Electrical, Letterkenny and Burt. Black Friday deals are live, in-store and online. Shark vacuum cleaners from €239. Coffee makers from €35. LG TVs from $479. Black Friday at Callahan's Electrical, Letterkenny and Burt. Deals not to be missed. Callahan's Electrical, where the best keeps on getting better.
Zero. It gets a bad rep. Like when people say they have zero interest in something. Well, if you're thinking of buying an electric car this year, you'll find this interesting because at Nissan we see the power of zero. Introducing the Nissan Leaf Power of Zero offer. Buy a brand new 100% electric zero emissions Nissan Leaf and get 1 year's free servicing, a free home charger, the lowest electric finance offer on the market, and great savings on running costs. Now that's the power of zero. Find out more at nissan.ie.
Just arrived at Meehan's of Raffo, new autumn-winter range of men's and ladies' diesel clothing. Men's shirts and polo shirts up to 5XL. Men's jeans 2 for €55. And Black Friday special. There's 20% of ladies' diesel hoodies and sweatshirts at Meehan's of Raffo.
It's time. Time to wander through a land of natural wonder where breathtaking views are all around. Time to fill those lungs with fresh air on an unforgettable cycle trail. Oh, that's gorgeous. Time to bag a bargain or 5 on an epic afternoon shopping spree. It's time to embrace a giant adventure in Visit Mourne this autumn. Start planning for your next giant adventure at visitmournemountains.co.uk. Travel advice and guidelines apply. Visit nidirect.gov.uk. Check ahead with providers.
Candles, lanterns, Christmas trees, decorations and all types of lights. Everything you need for Christmas. Experience the magic of Christmas at Cooney's. Our biggest and best Christmas shop has outstanding value on lights and trees. There really is something for everyone at Cooney's Letterkenny Retail Park.
With our biggest ever range this Christmas, Lidl has everything you need to make the big day even more special. Like our delicious potato gratin for the equally delicious price of $2.49. Check in-store for guaranteed lowest prices on your favourite chocolate tubs. And our Board B approved boned and rolled Irish Angus rib roast. Unbelievable value at $17.99 per kilo. Lidl, more for everyone this Christmas.
Wet n Wild, your local family business, is fully stocked with great deals on waterproof jackets, pants, dry robes, gloves, hats, boots, trainers, merino socks and base layers for men, ladies and kids. Stay warm, dry and safe this winter with quality that will last many's a Donegal winter. With a visit to Wet n Wild.
At Letterkenny Shopping Centre, we're already dreaming about the festive season, so why not make a start? Park for free and enjoy your Christmas shopping this year. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
The time's 11:15 on the button. Now, a new documentary will take a closer look at the history of local charity Full Search and Rescue and the story of its volunteers. Nathan Edgar is a local filmmaker in Derry and the man behind this project. Good morning to you, Nathan. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Right. Why did you want to focus on the work of Full Search and Rescue and I suppose to, you know, give us more of an insight into the work that they do and the people that do this work? Why this?
I think it started over a year ago. I was actually sitting and I just had this idea of starting an online series called Derry Hub. So the idea was they focus on a range of different charities who make Derry a better place. I only took a couple of minutes before Full Search and Rescue. The work that they do, like in Derry, it's extremely vital. And I think suicide is a thing that affects a lot of people in Derry. So it does, especially in Derry.
Yeah, and you know, we're familiar with the name of the organisation. We kind of know what they do, but I suppose this gives us, and you give us, you know, more of an insight, more of an understanding to really what it is like to do this work.
It's definitely out there. It shows you sort of these people, they're dealing with traumatic incidents throughout the year. They're on call, I think it's on like 365 days a year, non-stop. The stuff they do with the likes of emergency response team, they can be anywhere. They can be at weddings. They could be in their suits. There's an instance where they were in their suits at a wedding. The pager went and they just have to go. So it's to give that sort of insight and the sort of the serious work that they are doing.
Yeah, and as you say, they're of the community too, working for the community. These are just normal people that are drawn to this type of work.
These are normal people, and the likes of their employers, they all have permission from their employers for when the pagers go, they're allowed to go. What I found when doing the documentary, some of these people, a majority of these people, they're people who have personal experiences with suicide, and they've actually put that into their work and it's motivated them to do this. I think it's amazing to see.
Yeah, and if everyone is not directly affected sort of by the work that they do, there's only 1 or 2 degrees of separation. Do you know what I mean? Such is the situation here in the Northwest.
Definitely. And as there's a lot of people here who can be linked in some way that they being helped by fire search and rescue, whether it be through like family members and stuff, but just in general, like that they are heroes here in the city because of how much an issue it is. You're completely right.
Yeah, and fair play to you in establishing the Derry Hub and working on this, because you're right at the beginning of your journalism career, documentary making. So I presume to some extent it's a learning curve as you go as well for you.
Definitely. I'm learning every time I go out. I'm learning. It started over a year ago. The only thing I had was paper and a pen. I came up with this idea and I just started writing. I said, how can I make this work? So the likes of student loans and stuff, I just built them up. And I've just been winging it as I've went along, and I just learned so much.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't film forever. There comes a point where you have to say, right, I have to tell a story here. This is the amount of material I have in terms of interviews and all that type of stuff. So what stage are you at the process now? Are you in a production? Are you still filming? Is it finished? Like, are you ready to sign off on this yourself emotionally? What's the situation, Nathan?
I think it's time now. It's time to get it out there. I'm editing. It's a final stages, so hoping for next month. Obviously, there's a few different edits you have to do. Thing I learned, you have to follow Samaritan's guidelines, because the last thing I want is they put something out there that can...
You don't want to trigger, exactly. This has to be, exactly, fair play to you. That's a really important aspect to this. So tell us how you tell this story. Is it interviews with crew members, and I presume those paying tribute to them? Have you footage of them actually in action, or what way are you telling the story, Nathan?
So it focuses on 2 volunteers mainly, Jerry Burns and Jack Dunn. So Jack would be around 21, Jerry would be a wee bit older. It focuses on their story and why they joined through interviews. It shows you, we go out on a tour around where they do patrol in the car and stuff. Obviously with COVID, the plan was to go out on the patrols and get all the action stuff, but for me to go out with the full team on their patrol, it means they have to cut 1 volunteer. And obviously that was the last thing I wanted to do. But it focuses on interviews with the volunteers, gets you a tour around the base, where they patrol. And then it sees the health minister, Robin Swan, Naomi Long, and the mayor paying tribute to them as well.
Were you a bit nervous with those interviews, or did you take it in your stride?
Very, very nervous. I had a wee bit of an issue with a health minister one.
Oh no, microphone! Don't tell me you did the whole interview and you weren't recording the audio.
Not that bad, but
no, I think anyone who's a journalist has done that. You land back, you've just done a cracking interview. If it's video, it looks great, or you've asked all the right questions. You plug in your device or whatever it might be. All video, no sound or something. But anyway, you got over that. Anyway, whatever it was.
It's the worst case. So it was a bulb and it exploded. So, but 1 million pieces of glass in Robin Swan's office. Probably still there.
All right, but anyway, listen, that's manageable. And I think you point out too that we call them full search and rescue, but there's a role they play in preventing suicide as well, isn't there, Nathan?
So the aim of the charity is the prevention of suicide. I think in 2020, I think they recovered 7 people from the river. However, the statistics for the likes of like rescues alive and stuff were a bit lower. But away from that, they do talks as well. They go into schools. I think they've talked to over 10,000 people, which I think is amazing.
Brilliant. Well, listen, we're going to get a real insight into it. How are you going to... Well, you'll let us know, hopefully, Nathan. You'll send us an email or give us a call when you're ready to release it. How are you releasing it? What platform or what way are you doing that?
So there'll be a soft launch on Derry Hub on the Facebook page and YouTube channel. And then we're looking towards a physical launch as well. We're in talks about it, so... just hoping that goes ahead. And
I kind of get the feeling that you already obviously understood this, but you've kind of bought into it and want to be part of that sort of, getting that conversation, that message out there. Has that sort of been a little journey you've been on as well, Nathan?
Definitely. I think it's extremely important. And just this year, some of my best friends, seeing them, the loss they've experienced due to this issue, it's really pushed me actually go for and get the message out.
Well done. And in terms of yourself personally, you're still studying, are you, journalism or? Still
studying. So studying journalism in Derry, and I'm working full time in a restaurant as well. So it's just
sure, you're young if you can't do it now.
Exactly.
And what do you hope to do in the future? Is it documentary making, working in news more generally, or what's your hopes for the future, Nathan?
Documentaries, really. So hopefully this year I'm planning on this to take off, and hopefully I can make this my career. Like, it'd be brilliant.
Brilliant, and it'd be great to have another hugely talented person working in that field in the Northwest. Well done. Thanks so much for talking to us. You'll let us know when it's released so we can share it here as well, so get as many eyes on it as possible. And well done, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Greg. Cheers.
Good man. That is Nathan Edgar there. He's a local filmmaker in Derry. It sounds like it's going to be an interesting piece, focusing on the work of Full Search and Rescue. That's what it's called. And it'll give us an insight into the people and the organisation. And he's doing all of this whilst studying journalism, working full-time in a restaurant. Great to be young, isn't it, and have all that energy. Fair play to him. I got a lot of calls, says a caller. I get a lot of calls from mobiles that hang up. Is this a scam? How does it work? Am I safe? You are safe. It is a scam, because what they can do now is, before, do you remember you'd get the number and it was from, some far-flung country or other, and it was very clear what it was? Is now they've got cloning equipment so that it can mimic any number. And that's what they do. Right. Okay. Donald Kavanagh has taken a break from monitoring the proceedings, the Donegal County Council proceedings. It's currently a meeting to agree its current budget. He's jumped into studio with us. Donald, what is actually happening today? It can be kind of confusing. What are they agreeing? Is it capital? Is it expenditure? Is it what is going on?
What's happening today, Greg, is what would be the expenditure budget, the day-to-day spending. 162 million, just over 162 million will be spent by Donegal County Council in 2022. Now, of that, 62 million will go on wages, and then money will obviously go on council projects, roads.
Pensions is always a big draw.
Pensions is always a big one, yeah. And that's, of the 62 immediately is salaries and wages, and there's more on pensions and gratuities as well, so that brings it well into it's close on 70 million plus. So the majority of the money is going on wages, which obviously the council has to pay. And then what you'll get is a little bit of horse trading then between members and officials with regards to, well, can we spend on this road, can we do this bridge? There'll be a certain amount of work there. There is then a separate capital budget which is going to be discussed on Monday at the plenary council meeting. Now that will be presented again, and there'll be issues discussed at that which could potentially be interesting. For instance, the meeting was told today, just as a matter of information more than a matter of debate, although this could be raised later, the meeting was called, the Donegal County Council has identified 1,000 of its own social homes which have defective concrete blocks. The council is seeking €280 million over 5 years from government, or over 4 years, to deal with that issue. Now that really will come up for discussion during the capital budget discussion on Monday, but I would not be at all surprised if a number of members try to raise that issue in the discussions today. At present, we're just getting presentations from the Chief Executive, the Finance Director, now the Directors of Service, just making their presentations, going through the figures and the headlines as such. Then there'll be questions and answers. Members will question the officials, and then what would normally happen when you're meeting in a building is the various parties and groups would get together and have discussions. Then they'll come back and say, well, we want to change this, we want to change that, and you get the annual thing where they'll say, well, Chief Exec, we want you to spend 20,000 more on this, and he'll say, well, no disrespect, spend 20,000 less on something else then.
Exactly. With no disrespect to that process, we're talking, a multi-million euro budget, tens and tens and tens of million. A lot of that little bit of back and forward and horse trade can be over a couple of $100,000.
It can. It will be, and it will be over. It can be over tens. Really, it can be, it can be over tens of thousands in some cases. But I mean, now what's been happening this year more than any other year, we're told, is the level of pre-budget discussion that's taken place between the heads of service at MD level, between the officials and the members, between the members themselves. And what the officials are trying to do is basically get all this done before the budget meeting, so they can present and get it voted through with relative ease. is, and the expectation, I think, would be that the budget will pass today. Now, we've all covered over the years the budget meetings that went through 4 adjournments and went right up to the wire, and there have been sessions that lasted well into the early hours of the morning where the horse trading was over what would appear on the face of it to be very little, but to some members was, the most important thing on the agenda. The sense I'm getting is that today will pass and it will be reasonably straightforward. Now, they can be famous last words, as we all know, when it comes to discussing the council.
Yeah, so whilst this is an important day, of course, as was referenced by the Cahirloch, the capital budget, probably more headlines coming out of that then.
Oh, there will be headlines out of the capital budget on Monday, certainly, and that will really be looking at how the council is spending money. The MICA issue is inevitably going to be a really, really big issue. I think when that comes to be discussed on Monday, we can really expect potential fireworks even when that's being discussed, because it's bound up in a number of other discussions
and
as well.
And there seems a very clear plan here as to how the council's going to deal with the houses that they own versus what people with private houses, the hoops they're jumping through and what they're trying to achieve.
And obviously then we're waiting on the redress, and Minister Darragh O'Brien saying yesterday afternoon it'll probably be next Tuesday, but it will definitely be before Christmas. So, people are still waiting on that one. But how the government responds to council will be something separate to that.
Okay, so no real headlines as such today, other than sort of confirmation of a big portion of this is on wages and pensions and what have you.
Yeah, I mean, and we will get. I mean, the council is saying it is not changing the rate now. That can always be an issue of if the council seeks to increase the commercial rate. It's not doing so this year. It's seeking to keep that the same, which really means you don't have this big discussion, will we or won't we change the rate? So really it's a matter of will we accept the budget and what little bit of horse trading will take place with regards to the figures within it. But one of the things that Jack Murray did say is more than ever this budget has been member led, and there's been so much discussion taking place before today that he's hopeful they'll pretty much have all the figures nailed down and it should be straightforward. However, as I said before, the day you say it's going to be straightforward is the day something comes from left of field. And
it's very hard to get, what is it, how many councillors? 37?
37,
It's very hard to get absolute consensus amongst 37 individuals in any scenario. All right, that's our journalist, of course, Donald Kavanagh. He's monitoring the County Council meeting, and of course Donald's coverage will be carried throughout the course of the day on our news bulletins, and then of course into next week when the capital element of that budget is debated. Right, we're going to be talking history with Dr. Joe after these.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Get your tyres ready for winter. Call in to Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
Donald's coverage will be carried throughout the course of the day on our news bulletins, and then of course into next week.
Drop in to your local library. We're open again for books, computers, events, classes, study, or just a bit of space. One more thing, make sure you enter through the front door. A Healthy Ireland initiative supporting health and well-being from the Government of Ireland.
Special offers at Doherty Central Moville. There's Centre Fresh Irish sirloin steak, €5. Cadbury milk tray, €6.35. Half price inspired by Central Christmas cake and pudding range, and Centre Fresh cherry tomatoes and closed cup mushrooms, 58 cent. Family apple bag, easy peeler net and broccoli crown, 89 cent. With more fantastic offers in the off licence at Doherty Central Moville. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
Black Friday weekend at Brian McCormick Sports. 20% off clothing and footwear. Check in store for details. Asics, New Balance and On Footwear. Save 20% on Black Friday weekend. Clothing from all the top brands. Adidas, Iles and Under Armour. Kids tracksuits, hoodies and bottoms. 20% off this Black Friday weekend. In store and online at bmcsports.ie.
Niall lives on a hill, a very steep hill, which is great for the calf muscles, but when it comes to squeezing in and out of that parking space between the neighbours' pride and joy, Niall begins to worry.
I wonder if they use recycled plastic to make all their recycling bins.
In the new Dacia Duster with automatic gearbox and hill start assist, at least hills are nothing to worry about. And from only €45 per week on the road, nor is the price. Don't worry, be Duster. Offer made under a hire purchase agreement. Terms and conditions apply. See dacia.ie.
Forward Emphasis International, based in Mallinhead, are actively recruiting for customer service advisors with both permanent remote working and hybrid opportunities available. Experience in contact centres or insurance services is desirable but not essential, as full training is provided. Fully funded financial services qualifications delivering attractive career path opportunities are available. Please visit their website www.forwardemphasis.ie or apply via their careers page.
Central Auto Parts really do stock everything for all makes and models of cars. Shocks, springs, wipers, mats, brakes. Need I go on? And now stocking Celimix and Sunny Car and Commercial Paint. Central Auto Parts, Portlink Road Business Park, Letterkenny. Find us on Facebook or call us on 074 9127 491.
Now it's time for history with Dr. Joe Kelly, who is conveniently a historian. Good morning to you, Dr. Joe. How are you?
My Maradi League and Highland Radio, and to yourself, Greg, good morning.
Thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate it. How are you keeping? Are you well?
All well, all good and well, thank God. And here at work in the Rosses Community School today, so all good, good.
Okay, excellent stuff. Right, now, we're going to be talking today about Isaac Butt. Tell us about him, his significance.
Well, a very interesting man. Some might argue probably maybe the most significant historical person that was ever born in Donegal. That's up for debate, no doubt. But we talked before about Wolfe Tone, who was called the father of Irish republicanism. And Pearse reckoned that he was the greatest Irishman that ever lived, Wolfe Tone. And Wolfe Tone, as we learned, was from a Protestant tradition and very much for Catholics and republicanism and all that ideology. And on the same foot, Isaac Butt has been often named the father of Irish Home Rule. That the idea of our own self-government and establishing a government back in Dublin, that was seated with Isaac Butt, a Donegal man, a man from Cloughan, from County Donegal, Glenfin, and that's where he was born and reared. So he was not a man of small stature in the sense of politics, but academically as well. And he was reared, as I said, in Stranraer, in and around Cloughan, and he went to the Royal School there in Raphoe, which has a massive history. People like himself and others that attended their school there. And he seemed to be a very bright, intelligent young man. And he did the entrance exam for Trinity College when he was only 15. And
Wow.
he came first. Yeah, he came first and won a scholarship to the college, the entrance exam at 15. He must have been an extremely bright young man.
And when was he born? Sorry, and what period are we covering here, Joe?
Well, he was born in 1813, the 6th of September 1813, and I think it's a great time to talk about him because we're talking about a united Ireland, and the question maybe often is not is it going to happen, the question is when is it going to happen, and I think we have a long way to go before we get to that understanding. And this man Isaac Butt gave us a wonderful insight into the progress from where he came from to where he ended up.
Okay, so talk to us about Ireland in 1813. Politically, what was the situation here?
Well, politically, we had 1798, United Irishmen Rebellion. England were very, very afraid of being attacked, and obviously they were, because the French sent quite a lot of soldiers and ships, 46 ships to attack, to help Ireland attack. So then because of that, they decided to take away our government in 1801, which is called the Act of Union, which meant that we were controlled directly from Westminster. And that's the way it remained until 1921-22 when we got our independence.
And in terms of how, there were obviously seats of power then in the Republic, though. So how was rule sort of enforced in the Republic during that period of the 19th century?
Well, because of the United Irishmen Rebellion, and was often seen as a Catholic thing, they decided to keep the status quo there because they knew they could be safe with them. And that allowed for Protestant ascendancy to continue, where the Protestants controlled all the jobs, had all the power, administration, and so forth. And in the middle of all this, 1829, Daniel O'Connell got elected as a Catholic MP, but wasn't allowed to take a seat So this then caused a constitutional crisis in Westminster, and they had to allow for Catholic emancipation. So that was the turning point in 1829, Catholic emancipation. And it's at this time that Isaac Butt now is growing up as a young man. He enters Trinity College in 1833. He comes from a strong Protestant, orange, aristocratic view. He sets up the Dublin University magazine and a newspaper called the Protestant Guardian. So he was very much into the Protestant ascendancy initially in his life. And he became the chair of political economy and a professor in Trinity. So he obviously was a very bright, learned, educated man. He wrote 3 different novels, classical novels, Virgil and Ovid and stuff like that. But he moved into the law, the sphere of law, and he was invited to the bar and appointed in 1844 as Queen's Counsel. So he obviously was very articulate. And when Daniel O'Connell then got emancipation, Catholic emancipation, he moved then towards wanting, well, can we get a government back in Ireland? And the man that opposed him completely was Isaac Butt. Said no, he was happy that under the Union, Ireland had peace and stability, and it ought to be resisted. And Daniel O'Connell was very prophetic when he was being challenged in the debate in Dublin by Isaac Butt. He says, Isaac, you're a young man, and when you're my age, you'll be campaigning for a home rule government, and I'll no longer be here. And that's exactly what happened.
So what changed then along like how soon then did we start seeing Isaac Butt's attitude change? How did it sort of manifest itself?
Well, he was an Orange man. He was a unionist. He joined the Masonic Lodge. He had all that tradition and the Protestant aristocracy. His father was a Protestant minister, so he had all that heritage. But it was the famine that changed him. And as I said to you, he was a very educated man, a very insightful man. It would have been an amazing man to sit down and have a conversation with, I would imagine. And he saw at the heart of Irish society that there was something wrong with what happened with the famine. And he had realised in that moment that Ireland had been starved because of mismanagement, because we didn't have our own government.
Okay, so just before you pick up from there, so in terms of his Orangism, at that time, Orangism and Unionism, were they one and the same, go hand in hand, or would there have been varying views, or what would have been the situation then? What do you think? Yeah,
well, see, Orangism is you're very careful how you define it. And as I said before, when we were talking, Scott McLennan was on and with a fabulous conversation. And I was saying to you, when William of Orange was Dutch, and they didn't want to see the French expand too strongly. So actually the Pope said a mass and celebration when William of Orange won the Battle of the Boyne, because he was happy to see the French be curtailed because the French were supporting the other side. And so Orangism isn't necessarily totally Protestantism. It was a concept. And it was bigger. It was a bigger European debate than what it has become over the centuries here in Ireland. One has to be very careful. But at that time, yes, a lot of the Orangism was seen as just Protestant ascendancy and control, and it was very much exclusive in that sense. However, while he might have had that ideological view, he saw the famine, and at the same time, there was a rebellion, the 1847 rebellion, or 1848 rebellion, the Young Irelanders, and then again the Fenian Rising in 1867.
So what happened in those two, when we talk of a rebellion or an uprising, what actually happened in those years?
Yeah, well, what basically happened was, like 1798, like 1803 with Robert Emmet, there was a physical force tradition still in Ireland saying we must strike out for Irish freedom against England. So there were 2 rapid rebellions, 48 and 67. It was called the Young Irelanders Rising, and then the Fenian Rising of 67. Maybe we'll talk about that again. And who was the Queen's Counsel but Isaac Butt? And he ended up defending the Irish Republicans. He ended up defending them in court, and he actually was jailed because he wasn't paid and he couldn't pay his debts. And he wasn't agreeing with their physical force tradition, but he believed in their ideology. And he represented people like William Smith O'Brien and Francis Maher, who was the man that started off our tricolour. So this is who Isaac Butt had kind of fallen in to defend. And he really highlighted how unfair the trial system was. And he used the example of Cork, where there was 400,000 people. There was a jury got, and of the 400 jury people picked, only 30 were Catholics. In other words, the other 370 were Protestants. And he said, this is, like, Cork was a majority Catholic county. And he says, this is not right, he says. And so he began to realise that he had to change his outlook. And he realised that Ireland couldn't progress without equality, without the Catholic Church being recognised, and without his Catholic brothers being given the equality that the Protestants had enjoyed. And as
so
I say,
regardless of his background, his religion, his previous beliefs, he just looked around him and said, this is not a country to be proud of, perhaps even a country to live in. This is not fair.
It's not. The natural justice within him. And yet he still stayed authentic to his beliefs, but he realised that his beliefs had to change, that the decency had to be afforded to his brethren on the other side religiously, so to speak.
And do you think that was his studying of law that sort of dictated that, or were there other influences, I wonder?
I don't know. I think at the heart of every human being, you come to a realisation of things that are right and things that are wrong. And when you don't feel right about something, if it doesn't dawn to you over time and over life experiences, you begin to mellow, or you begin to see things differently. And just think of Ian Paisley. And I think Ian Paisley was a wonderful man. I think his early life leaves a lot to be desired. But the way he went at the end of his life and the journey he made towards the end was a totally different Ian Paisley at the start of his life. He had to go on that journey. And I'll never forget him shaking hands with Bertie Ahern up in Dublin, that he went that far to do that. And obviously Isaac Butt kind of went through the same journey from his own understanding of his tradition and valuing his Orange tradition and valuing his Protestant faith, but at the same time having the heart big enough and the scope and the mind big enough to realise that he had to embrace other traditions. And not just that, he understood too the land tenure, the way the land was being held in Ireland at the time, that he wrote a number of pamphlets. He wrote a terrible lot, about 20 pamphlets. An amazing man. He wrote about fishing, he wrote about education. His stuff, even to this day, is still very, very real and very, very, like his articles on fishing is amazing. And he talked about having to invest in fishing and the potential that Ireland had, something that could still be done. His understanding of education, where he believed that education had to be allowed for the Protestant faith, but also allowed for the Catholic faith, and where there had to be a free flow of ideas. He was very, very forward thinking for a man of his time.
Well, when his writings and opinions are still relevant today, I think my opinions don't last the day. Sometimes, or the show, let alone a century. Stay with us, Dr. Joe Kelly, historian, because we want to sort of timeline this a bit clearer, because I've been asking questions and I tend to do, I drag Joe all over the place. So we're going to timeline Isaac Butt and his development, his change in his political life, and his opinions on home rule and what he thought home rule looked like as well. All that to come after this quick break.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Get your tyres winter ready. Drop in to Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
Have you got a one-for-all gift card that you've yet to spend? Now is the perfect time. Go and treat yourself in any of the 11,000 one-for-all retail partners before December 31st, and you could win €10,000 in cash. Pennies, Argos, B&Q, Curry's PC World, TK Maxx and many more. Simply spend your gift card and visit oneforall.ie/win for your chance to win. Terms and conditions apply. The One for All gift card is issued by GVS Prepaid Europe Limited. GVS Prepaid Europe Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
At ESB Networks, we're connecting Ireland to a clean electric future. And as part of the National Smart Metering Programme, we're now installing smart electricity meters in your area. Your new smart meter will reduce the need for estimated bills, help you to manage your electricity usage more efficiently, and enable you to access smart electricity products and services. We'll contact you before your meter is installed. Find out more at esbnetworks.ie/smartmeter.
At Cooney's, we have quality suites, chairs, tables, beds and mattresses, all at fantastic value. If you see it, you can buy it and we will deliver to your door in time for Christmas. Call into Cooney's at Letterkenny Retail Park.
Something exciting is happening at Dunnes Stores. The Dunnes Stores Christmas Millionaire Draw is now on, with winners in every store every week. For our grand prize, one lucky shopper will become our Dunnes Stores Christmas Millionaire, winning 1 million value club card points. That's your shopping for the whole year worth €10,000. Simply come in store and swipe your value club cards to enter. Swipe and win today with the Dunnes Stores Christmas Millionaire Draw. Terms and conditions apply. See dunnesstores.com for details.
Call in to our McCullough Jewelers in Letterkenny and treat yourself for a special friend to a gift of time. Their watch collection includes the classic traditional watch, dressy ladies and gents watches, as well as exclusive special editions at our McCullough Jewelers, Main Street, Letterkenny, and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, or online at ourmccullough.com, making moments magical for generations.
Under the one sky, we share all of life's experiences, including grief. It helps so much to talk, to reminisce, to reflect. Irish Hospice Foundation Bereavement Support Line is open for all of us who are grieving. Free phone 1800 80 70 77 to talk to someone in confidence and for a shoulder to lean on.
Highland Radio weather updates with National Fuels, delivering home heating oil to Letterkenny and the surrounding areas at competitive prices. National Fuels, 9137 400.
Okay, so today mostly dry with sunny spells, isolated showers, though cloud will increase later in the day, bringing more frequent showers. Temperatures 5 to 7 degrees, and as we mentioned earlier, becoming very windy overnight and into tomorrow. Temperatures 1 to 5 degrees overnight. We're talking history with Dr. Joe Kelly, and we're focusing on Mr. Isaac Butt, who is arguably the most important historical figure from Donegal. And I'm sure there's many a row over a whiskey or something had over that over the years. Right, so Isaac Butt then, take us through the journey of his life. You have already, but, timeline it as his view changed. And politically, how he was influencing. I mean, was he ever elected?
Yeah.
Or tell us about that side of him, please, Joe.
In 1852, he was elected as an MP for Warwick in England, and later then for Youghal and Cork, and then later on then for Limerick until the end of his life, to 1871. So he was elected an MP, but one needs to understand an MP at that time, it wasn't financially lucrative. So he didn't devote himself fully to the political life because he wasn't able to afford to do so. He was often in poverty and in debt. And as I said to you before, to the extent that he represented, for example, the Fenians and got no payment and was jailed for the debts that he had incurred himself. He died in poverty. He died poor as he lived. So obviously he was very noble in his attitude. So he began to realise with the famine that things weren't working out. And he wrote, as I said, numerous pamphlets. And in the 1850s, he realises that something has to happen here. And what he said was the English Parliament has failed to secure for Ireland that the everyday administration of affairs should be in harmony with the genius and character of the people. So he realised that the Parliament in England wasn't in keeping with the character of the people of Ireland, and something needed to be done. So over time, he tried to get the Irish MPs together into a collective, which was the beginning of Home Rule, the Home Rule Party, which was later led by Parnell and then later by John Redmond. So he was the father, he was the person that had the ability, intellectual agility to do this and bring them together and to get them to work towards trying to achieve some kind of Home Rule Parliament.
So he was playing a long game in it too. This is not something he was hoping to achieve in one term of Parliament. He was sowing the seeds knowing that this would be a long process.
Absolutely, and mindful of what Daniel O'Connell had said to him before this. Daniel O'Connell now is dead, that he became the man that, so to speak, took up the cudgel or took up the baton for this. And don't forget at the time that the English Conservative Party that was in power for much of this time seen Ireland as a pinch of an imperial snuff box, a pinch of snuff. It didn't respect Ireland. It was only a small matter.
But you know what? Isn't it interesting to when you look to last year and there was a poll of Conservative Party members and their attitude towards Northern Ireland, that they would cut it away. You know what I mean? That wasn't important to them in the whole Brexit. Brexit was more important than maintaining the union. I mean, are these just historical attitudes that sort of maintain, I wonder? You know what I mean?
Well, there's a two-way thing. Just a recent poll by, I think it was the Liverpool University, it's only 9% of a concern for the British people. In other words, 91% of the issue is nothing to do with Northern Ireland. It's not seen as important. And look, that's again a debate for where our country and our nation, with our traditions, where are we going? And again, I think that Isaac Butt understood that we were being ignored, that the Parliament wasn't working in Westminster, and he had to try to use whatever means he could. Now, he was seen as being ineffective, and as you talked about the long game, some of the Irish parliamentary MPs were not happy with the long game, and they began this thing called obstructionism. Joe Bigger was the best at it. So when a motion would be put to the government, he would stand up and you couldn't stop him from speaking, and he might speak for 2 or 3 days.
Like filibustering.
Yes, and this delayed the whole process of passing laws by the British government. And this was their way of trying to get the British MPs to realise, look, we're a country over here, we need some care and some attention. So and Isaac Butt wasn't like that. He believed in negotiating and being intellectual in the way he approached things. And he did have certain successes with land reform acts. He did achieve certain things with laws, with acts, with education, with investment and so forth. But as I said, it was only a little pinch in the imperial snuff box, Ireland, and he wasn't as successful as people might have hoped he would have been. But without him starting what he did, we wouldn't have got to where we are. And certainly, he wrote a pamphlet called Irish Federalism. And you mentioned there just at the beginning when we came back on there, like what kind of home rule did he understand? He realised that there needed to be a new arrangement in the relationship between the two countries, and that we needed to commence that immediately in this century. You're talking the 1870s. This is over 150 years ago. And he wrote that to my countrymen, I submit this proposal, and that which offers us at all events the best prospect of obtaining the self-government without which Ireland can never be at peace. How prophetic. And here we are on the other side of Brexit, and we're still not at peace. Maybe not violently, but from an economic point of view, from a social point of view, you know, or with the 6 counties and so forth, that we'll not have peace until we sit down and we figure out how are we going to go forward.
But just in relation to that, and you mentioned his involvement, you know, with the physical force tradition, more so, I suppose, in defending those involved in it. Did he? Was it solely political how he saw Ireland, or would he? What would his views have been on achieving goals, you know, through force, for example?
Yeah, well, he was totally opposed to what the Young Irelanders and the Irish Fenians had done. He didn't believe in physical violence. He was a very placid, simple man, and obviously had a deep religious sentiment and the idea of, you know, love your neighbour as yourself, that whole Christian philosophy. He would have been totally opposed to violence as a man. So, you know, we could have learned a lot in the last 100 years from him. Had people listened to him back then, maybe we wouldn't have had a 1916. Then we maybe wouldn't have had a War of Independence. Then maybe we wouldn't have had a Government of Ireland Act that divided our country in two. All those things could have maybe been avoided had we're getting to a space now that he was there in the 1870s. And going forward, you know, I think there's a lot to be learned from this Donegal man. And in fact, from the likes of his Protestant Orange tradition, people maybe don't realise at times that Donegal has the biggest Protestant population in the 26 counties. And if we ever want to dream about a united Ireland, our story, and when I say our county story, the Protestant tradition, the Orange tradition, and we had Scott on, Scott McLean talking before, this is the perfect place to start this conversation.
In the last minute, Joe, do we recognise and honour him enough? Obviously, the only place that springs to mind for me is the Butthole in the Twin Towns. But in terms, do we remember him enough for his historical, arguably one of the most important historical figures from the counties? He's celebrated enough. Like I just may simply not be aware of it.
I know there's a statue of him and there's a museum for him as well. But I think from a educational point of view, I don't think so. I think we should be very proud of him. I think we should be very proud of his tradition. We should be very proud of the journey that he went on. And there's so much that we can learn from him. And maybe I'm only touching the tip of the iceberg. But at the same time, I'm glad to claim him as a Donegal man. And I'm so grateful that we had a man like that that spoke up for the people of Ireland when we were voiceless and brought us on a journey that we needed to go on. And one must remember Parnell and subsequent people after him were learned from Isaac Butt. And he became a true champion and a faithful servant to the people of Ireland, and rightly called the father of Home Rule.
Thank you so much indeed, as always. Dr. Joe Kelly, historian there. That is where we have to leave it on the programme, concluding our conversation about Isaac Butt. 086 60 25,000 if you want to send a message or a WhatsApp, by the way, and we can come back to it tomorrow. That is it. We'll be back tomorrow with our Friday panel, as always. Very enjoyable hour of the programme. And Michael and Fionnuala with us after 11, and plenty in between as well. Stay tuned. Gene Corrins around the Northwest after the news at 12 with Catherine. Have a great day.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you